Welcome to the Armchair Expert. I'm your friend, Dax Shepard. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Monica Padman.
That's me.
That's how you'd say it in Boston.
Yeah.
Monica Padman.
That's how Matt and Ben would say it.
Oh, they would. Monica Padman. Also in New Zealand, they'd be like, oh, I like your podcast, Monica Padman.
Ooh.
Monica Padman. I told you one time I was in that strip club in Thailand, and there were some Australians there. Well, it was mostly Australians. Let me also add, I was brought to this strip club by 3 women who were the partners of the cast of
The Hangover.
The Hangover. Well, now it sounds like I'm name dropping when all I was really trying to do is get out of the grossness that I was in a Thai strip club. Anyways, I was in a Thai strip club, and I kept hearing, Creasby, Creasby, Creasby.
Really?
And I heard it about 20 times before I realized it was the Australians yelling Crosby, my character name on Parenthood. That's neither here nor... No, it is there.
It's here.
Because Parenthood...
It's here and there.
We have yet another lovely member of the Braverman clan joining us today, Mae Whitman. You're going to hear me gush all over her about her incredible talent and just overall sparkliness. She's one of the greatest people on planet Earth. We're all in love with her, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you fall in love with her?
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's so damn likable. And you'll hear the origin if by some freak occurrence you follow both of us on Twitter and you notice we only call each other BB and Dee. That'll be explained henceforth. So buckle up, put a burrito in your buns, and enjoy Mae Whitman.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Boy, I don't even really know how to introduce you because there's so many layers of love.
It's a lot.
We have a professional relationship.
Married, divorced, remarried.
Father, child. Let me just start by saying nothing can compare to the pride that a father feels when his baby comes home all grown up.
Am I all grown up yet?
Self-supporting. You are. You're officially grown up.
Wow.
Mae Whitman is here.
Hey.
And I think there's some real prerequisite knowledge before we start talking because we in fact, to an annoying level, I think, for our coworkers, have a lot of inside slang and jargon, a lexicon.
True.
Let's start with BBDD.
Let's. Where was it that it even morphed into this sick, twisted? This is really, there's so much to say.
I don't know, but at some point.
It was just that you were always my parents.
Yes, Kristen and I quickly adopted
adopted me into the family.
Oh, you know what? In fact, I think it was right after the pilot when we went on vacation together to the Sequoias.
I think it was when we went on vacation
and we were like, this is exactly the kind of baby we've been in the market for. And she's already grown up.
Doesn't even wear diapers all the time. Only on weekends.
Right. Only after 2 a.m. when duty calls. But and then so that's obvious. That's easy to follow. You are our baby. And we are your parents. But then somehow you started calling me Dee Dee, probably like in a baby accent, I guess.
It must have started somewhere along those lines.
I hope people have like a trash can next to them while they listen so they can puke about 400 times.
That's really a lot.
But you started calling me Dee Dee, which I love and cherish. It's a moniker I hope to have emboldened on my gravestone.
I mean, don't even get me started. We're going to talk about your movie, right? And my character name.
I think that's going to be like the hour 4 payoff of this conversation if people can hang in there. They don't get dehydrated from throwing up.
Also, I was thinking about that Sequoia trip, and one funny thing that I was thinking about was how badly you kicked everyone's ass in Scrabble to the point where it was like shameful. Like you should
Have you
feel
not played
shame.
since?
I always thought I was like, okay, and I would get a thing here and there. I didn't expect to beat you, but I didn't expect to be like really like ashamed of myself afterwards.
Well,
it was really
Let me start by apologizing because
Thanks.
that was
Clearly
I'm sure my ego got away from me and I probably could have just won slightly and I probably really wanted to impress you.
It worked. I mean, you literally beat everybody by like 800 points or something. You were like, it was like insane. But anyway, you're smart.
But what I'm hearing is that you had this game that you loved and cherished, and then I just shit all over it because I had to prove how good I am.
Yeah.
And I apologize to you and to everyone else I've ever done that to.
Thanks.
But anyways, back to BB Dee. So you started calling me Dee, and I really like it, and then it just made sense that I would call you BB.
Of course.
And then so on the set of Parenthood, which we were on for 6 years together, we only called each other BB and Dee. And then Peter Krause was a little jealous, remember?
Yes, I forgot.
He expressed some disappointment that he didn't have a cute baby talk handle.
Well, didn't we sort of try to make Pee take off?
Oh, right. That's exactly what happened. Thank you. Because his name starts with a P, Peter, we thought, well, Pee-Pee's a natural fit, and he did not like that.
He was sorry he even asked.
And he would occasionally come up to us and he'd be like, BB, your Dee is very mad at you. So he found a way to play along.
He did. He tried to play us against each other a lot.
Always.
I remember there was always that where he was like, you'll never believe what your Dee said about you earlier, BB.
Yes.
Just trying to poison the well.
That was his exact strategy.
It was his MO.
But I never for a second thought my BB was out there trashing her Dee.
Imagine if I thought evil Uncle Pee would ever tell me the truth for 5 seconds.
That's what I expect from Pee.
Not ever.
Oh, okay. But so I just want to start from the very beginning, not your beginning, although we will get there. But so you and I met up in Emeryville, California,
Correct.
where we were staying at a hotel that we affectionately renamed the Woodpile, right?
Yes, I think we did.
It's not far from that. It's like the Wood Fin or something.
It's the Wood Arm? No, can't be Wood Arm.
Yeah, it's the Wood Arm. The Wooden Arm.
That's something else.
It's an old sailor's bar. The Wooden Arm. So we met there, and then we didn't have a lot of interaction at like the table read we all did together where we got to know each other. And then not a ton of interaction like at the hotel or anything, but we were getting into a transformation van, right? A transformation van. I'm welling up thinking about it. We were getting in a van. Let's call it a fucking van. And you were like in the third row of the van, right? And I at that time assumed you were 12 years old because I think that's
Wasn't
well, no, you were 21 as it turns out.
Yeah.
But that's a surprise to me because I think you're 12 because you're playing someone that's 12 or 14
and
or whatever.
I look like I was pretty close to looking
You're
like
miniature.
12.
Yeah. And so I didn't realize I was doing this right. But go ahead. Do you remember what I was doing physically?
What you were doing? There was
apparently I had my tongue. I had my tongue out of my mouth. You claim this is what you claim is that I was standing at the edge of the door, like with my tongue out of my mouth, like.
Oh, this.
Yes. And then I look over and what I think is a 12-year-old is mimicking this tongue movement that I'm doing. It looks very perverse when I see her do it. Again, I don't even know I'm doing it.
Why the hell were you doing it?
I don't know. I think I don't even know to this day why my tongue was out of my mouth.
I just want you to know I still do that probably like 6 times a week.
It's a great way to punctuate certain
It really
thoughts.
is. It's especially if you're like rambling and you just can't stop yourself. You just end it with a nice.
Yes, stick your tongue out. You got to get your
that
upper
nose.
teeth.
People
upper
can't
teeth.
really,
I know.
We'll have to take a
can
picture
take a
and
picture
post
of
it
us
on the
both doing
website.
it.
We'll absolutely do
That's
it.
the way.
Great.
Yeah, that's the move. So I look over and you're like mimicking my clearly grotesque tongue thing hanging out of my mouth. You said something like, "What's up, perv?" Right? You said something.
I think I did call you a perv.
Yeah, very provocative and weird. And I immediately had this like panic, this moral panic of like a 12-year-old's engaging me with the term pervert and sticking her tongue out.
It's definitely a term of endearment for me, though.
Well,
I call
sure.
a lot of people perv. Now you know.
I almost exclusively hang out with pervs.
Yes.
That's the only people I want to be surrounded by. Of course, I don't mean the kind that break the law or anything, but just a good-natured pervertedness.
Exactly.
Yeah. A vigor for life in all things genitalia. Oh,
5
boy.
minutes in.
So anyways, I just want to walk. I want to bring everyone up to speed about my meeting you and then me coming to understand who you were. And right out of the gates, you just hit me with calling me a pervert. You had your tongue in your mouth. I thought you were 12, and then to my great relief, you were 21.
Whew.
And I think as I was talking to you, I'm like, I'm trying to make this all kosher. And then I think I asked how old you were. And then I was just so relieved that you were 21. And then I was off to the fucking races.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
true.
you're 21.
Here we go, baby.
Buckle up, BB.
You're all grown up now.
So we do this pilot together. And then the pilot gets ordered and we go to Universal to shoot the first season of it. And very soon into filming with you, I had this thought that was like, why is this child better than all of us at acting?
Don't
No,
even.
you're going to have to just stomach
This is
this for
hard.
1 second. You were by far my favorite actor on the show. I thought you were the most talented. And I used to call you, as you know, lovingly, I'd call you the female Gandolfini. I think you're a fucking beast. So, but it was confusing to me. I'm like, why is this kid better than us? And then I went home and I looked you up, and I come to find out that you were a baby actor. And that's where we're going, okay? Actor. You are a very famous...
Not a baby driver, but a baby actor.
No, a very famous baby actor. And then I go, oh, well, this girl's been doing this for 15 years. That was longer than I had been acting at that point. I think I was like 9 years into, not even, 2009? It was like 5 years into fucking
By the way, if I was 21... I'd already been in SAG for much longer than 15 years, my friend. I was in SAG. I joined SAG at 2.
2, I know. And I was so delighted to find out how.
To see like my SAG card saying like 1990 on it.
For a fucking baby.
For a baby.
That's so crazy.
It is.
Yeah. So, come to find out you had been acting forever, and you had this incredible career that was much better than all of ours. Well, except for Craig T. Nelson, of course.
Oh my God.
But theatrically, you were a who's who of babies to different huge celebrities.
Category, but thank you.
Yeah, but okay. So your first professional engagement was at 2 years old, and you did a voiceover for Tyson Chicken.
Correct.
Great product.
I mean,
did you feel great about?
Love chicken. I was from the beginning.
Did
right
you
out
say
the
you
gate.
did a voiceover?
I did.
She did
at 2.
Yeah.
Wait.
Imagine Delta.
Could you say words? I'm so confused.
Not even being able to read and having to do it. Yeah. Well, so my mom is a voiceover artist. That's like her main thing. And so Pat Music is her last name, which is
fake
really
name,
cool.
but
it's a real name. It's
wow.
a real
Is
name.
it though?
Musick.
Yeah, that's how we spell music.
Pretty cool, isn't it? Like, isn't that how it's spelled? And so she took me. I remember the first situation that happened. I used to go with her around, and like, you know, the voiceover crowd is very fun and everybody's really nice and inclusive and funny. So I would just hang out with them, and I loved it. And one time she took me to an audition, and I was sort of hanging out in the like waiting room waiting for her. And I just had a little panic attack, I guess. And I like busted in the audition room crying, and she sort of calmed me down, and they were like, hey, she's cute. Does she want to do a little like
Does she want to join SAG?
Thing? Yeah, basically. Does she want to do a little commercial? And my mom was like, no. And I was like, yes, without even really knowing what it was. But anytime my mom said no, I was like, oh, I'm doing it. We'll see.
Do you have a real memory of that?
I have small memories of it. I remember when I got my first commercial audition, which was a couple months after that. I remember I wore my favorite Little Mermaid dress to the and I was like feeling good about it. And I remember the director sort of was like, he had all the kids sort of lined up, and he was kind of trying to get some funny stuff out of them, I guess. But he came over and sort of said like, that's a nice, you know, Lion King dress you have or something. And I just looked at him square in the eye, and I was like, what are you, some kind of knucklehead? And I was like 2.5. And so they hired me on the spot. They were like, that's so funny and stressful kid. We'll take it.
That's so weird, because that's probably one of the most frequently used terms for me, right? I call both girls knucklehead
really? So
daily.
Cute.
Yeah. That's how I like don't call them an idiot. I just call them a knucklehead.
Soften it up a little bit.
But yeah, it's mind blowing, and you don't know because you don't have a kid. But Monica and I both have a child together,
We
and
share
she's
a child.
3, and I can't really imagine
Never.
you're getting her to do anything on demand or on cue. No. This bitch won't even brush her teeth. Okay, she won't go to
I'm like,
bed.
well, I still never brush my teeth. And I haven't been to bed in 15 years, but I will show up. No, it's pretty weird. I don't really know what was going on in my little brain. I do know, you know, I went to school early. I was like very desperate to learn and to talk and my mom says, this is really perverse, but my mom says my first, which it's not really a sentence because it's not a real thing, but my mom says my first quote unquote sentence or my first speaking words was at 5 months. She says I was sitting in my little thingy, and I just looked at them and said, a raw Egbert. And they were like, what? And I said, a raw Egbert. And then I didn't speak again for like 4 more months.
Then you shut it down.
Then I
for
just
4
shut
months.
it down. My parents were definitely
well, it probably took a lot
scared.
out of you at that age.
I mean, you got to recover from that.
That should be your memoir title.
A raw Egbert. It really does pretty much sum it up. I mean, look at me. I'm like laying on the couch.
Guys, we were in Cabo and I brought Mae Whitman's new book, A Raw Egbert. Oh my God.
I mean, I couldn't get my eyes off the page. I barely jumped in the ocean.
I missed every sunset. I never even went to the luau. I just was turning those fucking pages. I read the whole book in 36 hours.
Well, what the hell were they having a luau in Cabo for? Am I right? I mean,
and then, you know what I love is she just paces it out so well. You learn what a raw Egbert is on the last page.
I was dying. That's going to be my Rosebud as the sleigh. Is like,
yes.
Raw Egbert is the... Just die.
There was probably something behind their head that was a raw Egbert.
Has to be. Oh, I saw it, and I'll see it again when I die.
A beautiful
I'm
Art
sure.
Deco raw Egbert. First of all, let me point out, Monica and you are 2 months apart in age.
Hey-o. When's your B-day then? Early or later? Okay.
Late. Yeah.
Nice.
August 24th, 1988.
7.
Oh, you're 1 year older than me.
87.
Oh, this is upsetting.
Well, it's still only
Let's
10
start
months.
over.
It's only 10 months.
10 months. We'll edit it out.
Yeah, we'll edit it out. Or can we record that your birthday's in 88?
Sure.
Just to make
Oh, God. Yeah, that's much better.
Let's just change the birth certificate.
I'd love
Do you
to.
have it here?
But you for someone that was 21 when we met and I was I guess 32 or something, you knew every reference that I knew, which was always very weird to me. And I suppose a lot of that has to do with having grown up as a baby on set and all your peers were people that were talking about that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Yeah. Do you think that's why
It
you
has
have
to
that
be.
crazy?
It has to be.
You just said Rosebud. I mean, granted, a lot of I guess actors know that movie.
Yeah.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
It was good. I was like, I just felt bad for giving away the spoiler alert too. I'm like, as if everyone on the planet doesn't know, but still. Yeah, I think that does have to do. I mean, it's such a funny thing to be like a child and be in school and sort of. I definitely always felt when I was in school, I had friends and I loved it. I wasn't like miserable or anything, but I definitely was always a little like, yeah, I love that joke about the sandbox. You should tell another. Like, I felt a little like, let's just get you guys up to speed here. There's some great stuff out there. And it is also hard when you're like,
have you guys seen MASH? I mean, now that's a quality
like
show.
Harold and Maude is. Like, I just feel like I also had maybe... yeah, it's weird when you're at school and you also then have like a call time the next day and you're like, sure, math, but I got a 6 a.m.er and it's coming up quick. So it's just, and I think it is also my parents are I'm an only child and I'm very close with them and they were always sort of very open with letting me see things and I wanted to try things and watch a lot of movies and there's so much so that it was hard to know when to stop. I remember one of the most famous stories in our household was when I was probably about 7. My dad was like, we should watch a classic movie. Let's watch Jaws. And I was like, yeah, great. I love that kind of shit. Jaws, cool. Like, let's do it, man. You and me. And I remember we were all sitting on the couch and my mom was nervous. She was like, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. And then, you see the shark and I was like, whatever. It's a robotic shark. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then I guess he forgot about this part. There's the part where the dead guy's face pops up in the window of the ship, the sunken ship, and it's really scary and upsetting. And it popped up, and I just my face turned white, and I turned to my dad and went, "Not great, Daddy." We still say it every time poor Jeffy messes up. Is not great, Daddy.
Not great, Daddy.
So there was a limit. I still was a child.
Yeah, your parents, who I've had the pleasure of meeting, particularly your dad, Jeff, who I affectionately refer to as Tony, because this motherfucker looks identical to Tony Hopkins, Anthony Hopkins. It's so great because I don't call him Anthony either.
Just
Tony.
He's so not an Anthony. He's kind of a Tony, though.
He's a big time Tony.
I can see a Tony.
And he is one of the loveliest guys
is.
I've ever met.
There's no one like him.
And I don't know his politics, so I'm not using this word in reference to his politics. But clearly, yes, you had a very liberal upbringing.
Yes.
They kind of treated you like an adult for the most part.
Absolutely.
From what I can gather.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a way that it was, I feel the communication, I never really had anything to rebel against. It was all very based on logic. And of course, there were times where they just had to put their foot down or whatever else. But it was always, I never felt like I couldn't express myself and have those conversations with them. Like if I would go up to them and say, listen, there's this concert, but it goes past the curfew, but it's this, and I'll be with these people. Like if I could clearly communicate something to them, we would always work it out.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
I'm stupidly was under the impression your parents were still married, but
They are.
Oh, they are. Okay, good. So that gave me a shock.
What if I just broke down in tears right
On
now?
Wikipedia, it says they divorced when you were 3, and I got like
Really?
a lightning bolt through my
It
heart.
also says that I went to Whitefish Bay High School in Wisconsin on my Wikipedia.
Oh, you did?
And
That's
I
cool.
didn't fucking
Did you go snowmobiling?
Imagine I was like, yeah, I grew up in Michigan, and then we moved over to Wisconsin. No, I don't know why the hell that's on
Yeah.
there. It also says I'm a player in a national tennis league, which is like I can barely fucking put my pants on. I don't know.
Right, but that's not to say that you won't one day be a player
Sure,
in the national
it's preemptive.
yes. Some of this might be predictive.
So don't believe everything you read on Wikipedia.
Yeah, my thought process was, holy shit, they're divorced. They carried themselves like they're married. Of course they do. They're so evolved. It kind of was in keeping with
that.
how cool Tony is in my mind.
I'm sure if they did, they still would have done the same thing. I think they would play it out pretty cool. They're pretty mature. It's pretty amazing.
But I don't want to undersell how much your dad looks like Tony. I guarantee you guys, if you're ever
should we
visiting
put a selfie on the page?
Yes, we should. If you're ever visiting California and you bump into Jeff, you will think you met Anthony Hopkins, and you'll tell people that you met Tony Hopkins.
It's also the best because he's a carpenter and he never wears anything other than T-shirts that he's cut the sleeves off of. So that's like
my favorite look.
Imagine meeting Sir Anthony and he's fucking rocking like a dope, dirty, beat up.
A knight whose motto is "Suns out, guns out." Like that's not what you
And he's
see
like,
a lot.
that's Sir Jeffrey Whitman.
Where do you think they got this theory on raising you? Why do you think they were so relaxed? They older parents?
Yeah, they were in their late 30s when they had me, which definitely is something I've always found to be a sexy option just because, I mean, I'm so like out of it that I don't know. I'm getting better. I'm getting to the point where I'm like starting to understand how someone could possibly conceptualize having a child. But I think, it's a big part of it was they were further along in their lives and their maturity process and their communication style and everything else. So
they're kind of hippies though. What were they like in
hippies.
the 60s?
Oh my God. I mean, my dad.
Did they suck down that green herb?
Dog.
Were they dog?
I brought some. They grew right here. No, I don't. I would never, but they are definitely major hippies. Like, my mom went to college in Denver, and my dad grew up basically from the time he was 15. He jumped on his motorcycle. My dad didn't even have a driver's license for a regular car until he was 38. He only had a motorcycle license.
Yeah,
Can you believe?
He didn't need
So
that.
he got one when he was 15, a motorcycle, and he cruised up to Berkeley. And he literally moved up there and moved into Berkeley Rep Theater and lived in the sound booth and did all the lighting and tech and built all the sets for their shows for like years. So he was in the 67, 68, 69 in Berkeley. Summer of love, ladies and gentlemen. I try not to think about it. But we're surprised he's still with us. I can't believe he survived all the bad behavior, I'm sure, that went down.
And probably because he had witnessed so much shit, he probably feels, and then he ended up just married and like a normal dude. I think that can be informative. Like, you know what? People get through shit and everything's not as big of a deal.
Totally.
I feel like I have a little bit of that.
Is that something you found? Like, what's your whole fucking deal? You're a parent now.
Yes,
It's so crazy. I mean, you have been for a long time and you've always been my Dee Dee, but like, what's some of the shit that's like really started to sink in?
Well, I would just say that if I take Kristen and I, right, as a template and go, okay, well, she did everything right. She went straight to college out of her private school, and then she followed the rules, and she didn't do drugs, and she, did everything right. And then I did almost every single thing wrong, and we both live in the exact same house. So you have to go like, oh, wow, there's a million ways to end up in the exact same spot.
Oh, absolutely.
And you could really get stressed out over all of it. But
I think you're right.
No one can say where it's all going to end up.
I panic about trying to do the right thing all the time. That's like, so I'm like, well, but I try to like gather all the data and obsessively pour over it to make every single right decision. And I think you're right. As you get older, you start to be like, so I picked the wrong thing. You move on. I'm still where
there is an illusion that there's a right way, which is trite to say, but it is true. There's just the way you're doing it. That's what it is.
Yeah, you do your fucking best.
If we had a single example of the person that was like, ooh, they did it. It was perfect. They nailed it.
Guys.
All the relationships. That's true.
I will say, I'm not to like turn this shit back on you, but I remember when you guys were first having a baby, and I just remember being like, there is no, and my parents still say this about you. Every time you come up, my dad is literally like, well, if anybody can do it and make the perfect kids, they can. Like literally, you guys have always been, and in the vein of like you were saying, encouraging imperfections and all these things. It's like you guys have such a sick balance going, and I've always been like, those are the correct. You grow, you learn, you try things, you figure stuff out, you express yourself, you talk about things, and that's something I really valued too, even when we were on Parenthood, because it's hard as you're sort of growing up. You're like, how much do I share? What do I, whatever? And I really believe it was so helpful for me to have you to communicate about, difficult issues or whatever else. Yeah, right. Which now I'm like the world's biggest overshare because of you. But, I just really think you guys have had, I remember too, even just one thing that you'd done where it was when Lincoln was little and she was kind of stressed out. She was like 2 or barely. And she was kind of having like a panic in the living room, and you were in the middle of telling a story. And you just turned to her and you were like, hey, honey, like, I just need to finish this story. Do you want to go have some alone time and just feel your feelings? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. It was like the most adult thing I've ever seen. She literally went in her room and like took 2 minutes and came back out like fucking refreshed. Right. She was like, you were saying, Dad, sorry. It was so cool.
People will, when we just had a childhood psychologist on a couple weeks ago, which was relieved me a lot because people have been critical of my approach with that. But in my opinion, adults need fucking 2 minutes out all the time too. I need 2 minutes out at least 3 times a week. Like I need to just go into a room and fucking catch my breath.
Totally, dog.
And then process a little bit. Yeah. So I think fucking pauses are great. Don't label it as a timeout. Label it as a pause.
Also, there was nothing negative about it.
If a kid's crying because they're hurt or they're crying because of something significant, but if they're crying because they didn't get ice cream, well, you need to do that on your own and figure your shit out.
Totally.
In my worldview.
And you get then, that's like a practice for them in the future, is that it's okay for them to be like, I'm feeling some kind of way. I need to get the fuck out of here for a minute and go deal with my shit.
Yeah, I think you're gas and I'm fire, so I'm just going to go get in a room without oxygen.
Yes, correct.
So, when people talk about, and I find this to be very pervasive among actors with kids when we all talk, is people do not want their kids to be actors, even if they are actors themselves. It's a very complicated thought process for me. But what I will say is, people in the world, they read about Lindsay Lohan that makes headlines, and there's definitely plenty of childhood actors who went astray. Yeah. But weirdly, I've known a ton that haven't. And I always point to you, like, well, let's just say our boss was Ron Howard.
Totally.
That fucker couldn't be more well-adjusted.
Not fucked up child actors.
Yeah, kind and all these things. And then I worked early on with Josh Hutcherson when he was 12. He's nice. Turned out to be a great kid. And same with Jonah Bobo, who's in the movie. So there's certainly as many examples of. Here's what I'm curious about, because the one thing that is tricky when I've been on movies where a kid is the star, the kid can't help but recognize, oh, these people work for me. Right. And not that they work for you, but they do, everything they're doing is to facilitate you to eventually go say your lines, right? Totally. And you become a little bit aware of that. And the whole thing's designed to kind of cater to us and make it as easy for us to do that thing as possible. And so as a kid, did you ever have this sense that was happening? And then how did your parents, or how did you prevent yourself from becoming a megalomaniac?
Honestly, I really feel like such a huge part of it was, again, I'm so lucky that I started when I was young, because
let's just say you did A Man Loves a Woman, right? When you were 6 years old.
4.
Okay, I don't like
it came out
anymore.
It came out
when you were 6.
When I was 6, probably. I was 4. I turned 5 on it.
And Monica was 5, or maybe 4 years, 10 months.
I was 3.
Yeah, that's or 2.5 even.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so that was actually a great. Yeah, it was my first movie.
And you were Meg Ryan's baby.
Yes, and Andy Garcia's.
Oh,
that's actually, you'll love this too. How I got that movie. Again, this is a big tell. How I got that movie, there's a scene in it where Andy is trying to talk about what happened and how Meg Ryan it's a movie about alcoholics, and he's trying to explain to me sort of what happens and how she has to go away to rehab and all these things.
I remember that.
And I'm just listening in the kitchen and et cetera. So this was back in the day, which I feel like they don't do as much anymore, but where they would like fucking build a giant set for a screen test, and it was like the whole thing. And so I remember it was my first time, and we're on this set, and it was, it's set in the morning. And so props had set out like a little, plate of like fake, apples on the table, and there was coffee and juice or whatever. And I remember the whole scene, I'm supposed to just sit there and listen to what he's saying. And that's like the whole concept. And so apparently he was talking and, he's sort of emotional, and I'm like, listening. And then I just sort of like, they saw my eyes flicker over to the plate of food and then back at him. And then I like slowly, trepidatiously, like still looking at him in the eye, like reached out and started grabbing little bites of food and just like pummeling through the food the entire time he was talking. And I like cleaned off the entire plate of food by the end of the scene. And they were like, is she, oh my God, she's fucking eating it. She's eating it. Like they loved it that I just like crammed my face the entire time. Did they try to remember to
keep that?
They did. I totally stuffed
my face. Now that is
face.
Something Delta would do.
I was just about to say that. She is going to grow up
They
to
love
be
that
you,
shit.
I guess.
They love that shit.
Yeah.
If you have a healthy love for food.
Well, weirdly, and I don't want to get lofty about it, but what you were actually doing is the thing that the seismic paradigm shift that Marlon Brando brought to screen acting, which was be aware of your environment. Don't be in a set. Be in real life. Like he was the first person to ever adjust his chair in a scene. Like everyone else acts like they sit down and it's perfect.
I know. Or when he did the glove thing, in on the waterfront, when Eva Marie Saint drops her glove and he picks it up and he kind of puts it on. I read that was that just she dropped it in rehearsal by accident. And she was like, "Oh, let's forget it." Blah 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 blah. And he just in the middle of the scene picked it up and put it on. Eva, come on, stop freaking out.
wear the glove.
Why are you doing this to me? You always take the mistakes.
I'm gonna call Vicente. He'll get your role.
I'm afraid. You're like a son to me. This is really pathetic. But so that that is, you're right. It is something.
So you were you were living in that scene.
That was my father, and those were my apples, and that is the end of the story. But so that was like a big, and again, I think for me, it really was about it was like about perspective, and it always has been.
But like, were your parents specifically going? So Mae, you say thank you to those people. You hang up your wardrobe at the end of the day. About
polite things, but never about, it was never, first of all, the acting part, like that was always something that did just come from me. But I had an incredible acting coach, which I'll tell you more too, who really helped me when I was little. But basically it was like, I think I always had the perspective of, it almost felt like, it's so hard to explain. It's like, to me, those sets were so huge and we were all on the same team and we were all, it felt like this giant, like I was on that show Chicago Hope for years, and I just had the best time like exploring. I would just at lunch just run through the sets and find, look in the drawers, and there were fake scalpels and fake babies and throw them and, dump fake blood everywhere. It was like so fun, and everybody was so cool.
Sorry to sound like
nice.
Maybe you weren't all that respectful. Now
well,
that
the blood, it was all kosher.
And
they let
fucking
me
light
do
the
it.
whole thing on fire and piss in the corner.
It just was like the perspective that I always had, which I still have, and I still feel. Luckily, I'm glad I didn't have to sort of wrestle with, and both on the acting side of not being self-conscious, because it's much harder for me now to like audition or whatever else, because I'm thinking about a million things as opposed to just being in it.
Well, you start becoming aware of your identity,
totally,
right? Which is very tricky.
It's
and at that
really
age, you're not trying to convey your identity to others.
You're just yourself. And
you just fucking eat apples when you want
just
apples.
fucking eat an apple if you want to. And I think so that is one reason why is just sort of, and again, my parents were so good about teaching me sort of respect and politeness and professionalism and just the kind of tricks of the trade, exactly hanging up your wardrobe, like the things that you just do naturally. And I just, honestly, a huge part of why I loved acting so much was the experience of meeting all these incredible people and having all these adventures, and you really build a family. I mean, I used to just fucking hysterically weep when I would finish something. It was like days of inconsolable. Like I still remember when we finished Independence Day, we were like filming in the Oval Office, if you will.
After you blew up the world?
After I blew up the world with my bare hands. And I remember they sort of, everybody kind of gathered around because, you do a picture wrap and everybody claps. And I was literally like screaming bloody murder on my knees, like, no. And I went around and got like every single person's phone number. And I was like, I'll call you. I love you. Like just so upset. I mean, when I did Friends.
Now, I just want to know, were you a fan of Friends when you did the show?
Yes.
Do you know Monica recorded every single episode
on VHS
No,
before
stop.
there were DVDs. I recorded every single episode. I had 32 tapes. I found my last tape the other day when I was moving, so I was packing and I found it. But yeah, and I had a color-coded system by season. Oh my God.
Season. I was hoping by like emotional issue. You were like Ross and Rachel. This is their. I somehow was a huge fan too, but I was like 7.
So was Monica. Maybe 6. But when Monica talks to me about Friends, like my heart is tearing. Like the way she
just like light in her eyes.
Yeah, it's like it is her childhood. It's her rosebud. Friends is her rosebud. And I could listen to her talk about her love of Friends.
Special.
I found that it's I never watched the show. I'm sure it's great, but what I have noticed is it's most of the people I really like, because Amy Hansen too is just obsessed with Friends. Can I tell you a really quick story about that?
Please.
So when I first started dating Kristen, she had this big house and she had like 85 people that lived there for free, which already triggered all my I'm like, these people are taking advantage of you. They're all vampires. I don't trust anyone. Why do you? But so I was already on edge. And then so, they had a DVR, and back then it didn't have a lot of space on it. And then so I went to watch this show we had recorded, and come to find out the entire fucking DVR was taken up with Friends episodes, right?
Stop.
So this is me at my ugliest. I'm like, who the fuck is DVRing Friends? You don't need to record it. It is on all day long. Turn on the TV. It's on. It doesn't need to be recorded. Like I'm just being such an asshole. And Amy Hansen, who you've met, right? She goes, I record it. And I immediately go, that's okay. You're sure there's certain episodes you probably want to watch. It does make sense to record. I felt like such a fucking
the sweetest
asshole.
woman on the entire planet.
The world's nicest
and it is
human
like
being.
it's your fam. Like when you a show like that. I mean, that's it for me. It's that and Frasier. Those are the ones that I'm.
When you guys were so little, were you like, did you want to be one of those girls?
That's what I'm saying is like, what was the concept? Because I barely remember, but I was like obsessed, and I'm like, I obviously wasn't getting like the complicated sexual nuances that were fine, or were I? Good question. But I feel like I don't know. There was just something about it. I don't know. And a good show.
Was
there's
it the
always
theme song? Is that half of it?
I definitely had the Rachel when I was a teenager. 100%. When I was like 11, I got the Rachel.
Well, you had access to like really good hairstyles.
Yeah, you probably got the Rachel
it from the actual.
From the woman who does her hair.
No, I panicked and I was like so hysterical when I got that part. I remember like screaming, freaking out.
Died.
I mean, you got
that would have been like me getting Dukes of Hazzard as a 6-year-old.
Totally, and being thrown totally
or
into
get to be in the
sets
back
in the
seat
car.
when they jump the car.
Can you imagine? Truly, I literally was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, it's crazy. I was sitting in like Chandler's apartment and Joey's apartment, like in those chairs.
Were you a love interest?
Yeah, I think I was. I wish. Oh my God.
It's not that kind of show.
No, I was like, but they make, the whole concept was and it was also cool. It was like a big episode because it's when you find out about Monica's Girl Scout cookie obsession.
Monica Padman's?
Yeah,
I was named after her.
But she literally it was so it's the coolest thing ever to be.
Then were you, because my hunch is knowing you weren't nervous for those movie roles you did.
Yeah.
Were you nervous about Friends?
I was nervous about Friends because I was so excited to meet everybody. But I have to say, and it was cool because it was the first time I did that format, a live audience and everything. But I literally made everyone like Sculpey Christmas ornaments, and everybody was so nice to me. They let me come in, like Jennifer Aniston let me eat in her dressing room with her, have lunch with her. Yeah, and like walked me around. They all gave me like tours and the sets and held my hand. They gave me their firstborn children. No, but everybody was so kind and like warm and welcoming. And I still and that's another one where I hysterically cried. I like wrote them all like long letters after when I rapped and stuff. Like,
how old were you?
Such a strange. I think I was 8. When I actually did it. Yeah.
Yeah. Second grade.
Yeah. Second grade.
You're supposed to be getting pushed off your bicycle by some
I was getting
jerk.
pushed off my bicycle.
You are.
But trust me, the next day I was getting right back on and off the bicycle.
That's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
That's the part for us who didn't have that childhood that's really hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
So what is the transition from being in an environment where you're totally celebrated and like your unique gift is loved and supported, And
you're living a dream.
You're living a dream.
Actually
Yeah,
living a dream.
I'm literally like, wait, my life is good. As you guys are saying this, I'm like, wow.
But and then you would then the transition to
normalcy,
normal
Right.
school. What was that? Do you remember that being a bummer?
Yeah, honestly, it sort of felt like it's weirdly, I don't know why I lucked out. I had such grounded parents, and I think their whole thing of like keeping my perspective, it just felt like work and play that the whole time I never saw any dynamic. It didn't feel like it was anything ever didn't feel centered around me. Weirdly, I was in the same level with everybody always, and it just felt like we were making this, we were all playing, and the vibe was always, they also really had like serious vetting processes where they would really like, my parents would talk to the filmmakers and talk to the other cast, and before we agreed to do it, and kind of get the vibe of the of the people and make sure it wasn't going to be sort of a negative.
A Roman Polanski film.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank God. And so that was really great. So there never was sort of like, I never
were you
felt
going to a normal elementary,
So
or were you being tutored?
No, I went to a normal elementary school from kindergarten to 10th grade.
Wow.
That's not how elementary school works. So now I know that
what
you
is
didn't.
that, by the way?
From kindergarten
10th grade
to-
is a thing, isn't it? It's a whole.
But an
it's
elementary that is
one big school.
K through 10.
Well, I didn't finish, but
Okay. Congratulations.
thank you so much. I
You're a
have
homeowner.
multiple degrees. It's fine.
Did you ever like, if you were at school and someone
Yeah.
was being mean to you, were you like, girl, I just
Definitely.
was
Definitely.
on the episode where
Yeah.
But
But
sold
it's
Girl
still-
Scout cookies.
I've tried to let that make myself feel better, but at the same time, it did just feel like a whole different world. And again, I didn't have the perspective I'm sure it helped with the bullying. And again, I had like my parents who I could always talk to about everything, who were really good about, blah, blah, blah. But I still was a kid, and I was still really in everything that I was in. I was very present in all my situations. So I didn't have the wherewithal to be completely like, fuck you. What
kid were you at school?
I was like,
everyone like you?
I was really fine. I skated through till probably, I would say, 6th grade. I was like very frizzy, dirty, very like tomboy, always digging in the dirt. I was really into bugs. I was really like into science, like pretty nerdy stuff. But I kind of stayed out of everybody's way enough.
Really quick, did the kids at school see Friends? What was their reaction to that?
A couple kids saw it and were like, "That's pretty
cool
cool,"
kid.
and
Yeah,
and
Monicas.
they still thought it was cool when I was acting sort of for a while. When I was younger, it was like, "Oh, that's cool. She gets to do this kind of thing."
Yeah.
And then, you hit the high school, it's all the same shit. It's like whether you're doing it or not, you hit these periods of, like you were saying, the identity situation where you start to become aware of things, and wherever you are, that's tough. And I think that's
Were
that
people
kind of,
jealous, I would imagine?
yeah, I guess it kind of clicked in, or it was mostly like, you think you're so much better than us. And I was like, I'm literally digging for worms in a box of mud. Like, definitely don't.
I like to
think
preach
that
a
I'm
lot
better
on
than
this
you.
thing. So can I just, I love
Please,
that you
this is my
just,
favorite.
I love that you just said, you think you're so much better. Because I've been thinking about this a lot, because we all feel less than around certain people, right? And I just think that expression, you think you're so much better than us, that the real sentence is, I feel so much less around you. Like, if people could own the fact that, no, you feel less around the person. We don't know what they think.
Totally.
They may think that. That's true. But the more important thing is that I feel less around you.
Totally.
And that's something that you can address.
You're right. Also,
know?
because, and I think about this a lot, and this is something you've always helped me so much with healthy perspectives and stuff. But the concept of seeing something, but not letting it have a piece of you. And that's something that's really helped as you get older, is like, I've started to just back so far out of situations that when something doesn't feel right, I just immediately look inward, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever this is, why am I having such a violent reaction to it when it actually doesn't have to do with me?
Yes.
So that's something
Also,
I try
when-
to identify.
Yeah, and you can look around you, and if there's 10 people, 9 other people aren't having that reaction. So it's a
Totally.
pretty good indicator that it's your
Something's
thing.
in there. Yeah. And
Yeah.
just 9 times out of 10, you can just let it go. It's not your concept,
The example I love to give is like, the times that we've had like a dinner party, right? And let's say 12 people came, and then 8 of them left, and there's 4 people left in the kitchen talking. And then slowly someone will go like, do you notice that Wendy girl's
Totally.
she's just bragging about her house all the time. Like, and then you'll notice the 3 other people didn't notice that. And then I'll go like, yeah, I didn't know. But that Mark dude, hey, could you need more attention? Like, and what you just start hearing is like, it's my issue.
Totally.
I am like the police for someone who wants a lot of attention because I want all the fucking attention.
Totally.
So I'm like, oh, Mike, he was like trying to be funny. Or I'm just listing basically every characteristic of me.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the thing. You notice the things that sort of you struggle with just kind of ping, ping, ping and drive you crazy.
Yeah. So when they leave and when I've noticed that and I go, oh my God, look at us 4, like all that happened is like, there's no consensus about who's annoying or who wanted attention.
Totally.
It's only your thing.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the world that way, the world is just the world.
Yeah.
You know, there isn't anyone that's objectively anything. It's just how you're reacting to the world.
And that's so soothing.
And you won't change the world. I won't change Mark wanting to get attention.
course.
All I can do is change Dax
Yeah.
or attempt. Or I'm always going to hate being around the Marks of the world.
Right.
You know?
And that's okay. I think that's another thing that's soothing about as you get older is kind of like not having so much emotional damage and being able to sort of, it's okay to, you can still love people. And this was something you taught me early on, which I'm still tell myself
I think you're
every
giving me
fucking
more
day.
credit than
No,
I
it's the truth. You did a lot. But you know, that I remember talking to you as a teenager about somebody that I was struggling with or whatever it was. And it's so much about that, what expectations you have of people. And I remember you saying, you can't expect people to love you the way that you love. And I was like, whoosh, that was my brain exploding.
What is tricky for me and in the past, what has ruined relationships is that I have a list of 5 things that I do to show people I love them. And so when someone blatantly does something that's almost the opposite of one of those 5 things, I interpret that as I don't love you because I wouldn't have done that.
Totally.
I have had friends who like, you know, they're hooked up with a girl I was in love with or whatever after we broke up. And that's just not part of their thing. That's not how they show that they love somebody.
Yeah.
So it would be different if I did it to them than them doing it to me.
Right.
And that's important.
It's
to
not
know.
part of their vocabulary of love. And that's something, you know, that it just felt like it really set me free because I realized that you can still love people but know certain things about them and know not to expect. It helps give you a more complete picture of who they are. And then if it doesn't completely line up with you being your most vulnerable self, then you can put them a little further away from you on the spider web of your life.
Yeah, there's people that's like, I want to go to fucking Arby's with that guy and do whatever, right? And then there's people that, I want you there when my kid's born. And that's fine. It's fine to have different tiers of people in your life.
It's just so freeing. And I think that's exactly all that in general, just the concept of the insecurity and all those things in general. It's just so it's that double-edged sword of when you're fearful, it just makes you want to cling on to everything and hold on and keep grudges and be upset and have baggage and all these things. And then when you are just filled with love, you have enough to spare where you can give some, but not let the negative stuff come back in your little, safe zone.
Yeah. In AA, we have an expression that is expectations are resentments waiting to happen. Which I love. So it's like anytime you have an expectation, odds are it's not going to be met. You know, even if you have a house you're building, you have a car, anything in life, the second you kind of set a hard expectation, you're pretty much going to be disappointed shortly thereafter. And someone's got to be to blame. Yeah.
I really love that a lot. And I think that again sort of helped me over the years back to being a child actor and whatnot. Because I had a lot of good times in school, but I was bullied pretty hard and had some really bad.
And that started in 6th grade.
That started around 6th grade, and it kind
That's
of reached.
That's when girls, right? There's different periods where guys are terrible, and then there's periods where girls are terrible.
Guys were bad in like 9th grade for me, but girls were bad.
But I feel like in junior high, girls started getting at least in my experience, started getting like a little catty, where the dudes were still just trying to like. Bro out mostly, or they weren't smart enough to like do something totally Machiavellian and evil the way girls can. Did they throw blood all over your head? Like, did they say you were the prom queen and then dump pig's blood?
I know. I
over?
wish it was like they shoved me into a locker or something, but it wasn't that good. No, it was more just like getting like made fun of and like being. I would like eat lunch in the bathroom, just like stupid shit that I was.
But that
like,
was just to save time, right?
That was just I still do that. It works really well. In one end, right out the other.
Yeah, you just open up one straight tube, put it in, let it fall out.
God, do I wish. Yeah, I think, and just to the whole balance of the thing, I think it did help me to have perspective about, because I was never very self-conscious. That was what was that's
kind of your gift
curse.
as an actor, I would say.
Yeah, I didn't have that self-consciousness. So it was tough when it started to come in and kids sort of started to be like, actually, you're this. And I was like, oh my God, I am. Is that bad? It was like
right.
that kind of thing. But for the most part, it all felt pretty evened out. And I think shit didn't really hit the fan until like 10th grade, which is when kids were really starting to like buckle down and be not the best. So
right, yeah,
I was like,
to me, people either like they loved high school or they loved junior high. I happen to love junior high. It's like the greatest 7th grade. If I could live 1 year of my life over and over and over again. I know, yeah.
The light opened up.
The heavens just parted and I'm being retracted up to
7th grade.
Yeah, 7th grade.
What was your first dance? Do you remember?
Well, 6th grade. When I got to junior high, and in Michigan, junior high was 6 through 8.
You were definitely already kissing at this point.
Yep. I started kissing pretty hardcore in 6th grade because my girlfriend, Sasha Crosset, was in 8th grade. She was so foxy. Let me just tell you, all through elementary, no girls liked me at all.
Yeah.
They all hated me. And I was ready to party.
Were
too.
you rude as hell?
No, I was like dyslexic and went to learning disabled. I was 9 feet tall and 170 pounds. I was too big and couldn't read.
Oh my God. You were not 170 pounds.
I was so big. I wasn't 170 pounds in elementary, but I was, in fact, my mom told me like when she went to the kindergarten little play we had to put on where we sang and we're all pigs. She heard 2 different parents whisper like, how many times has that kid flunked? Like it looked like I was 3 years older than all of them.
So
I was so big, but for whatever reason, it doesn't really matter. I didn't have any girl action in elementary, and then I when I went to junior high, my brother like took the reins. He's like, you're getting a side spike.
Hell yeah.
You're wearing combat boots. You're skateboarding. You're wearing this flannel shirt. And all of a sudden, I just kind of showed. It was like a movie where they take the girl's glasses off and take her hair down and she's a 10.
She's all that.
I showed up at junior high and I was like, I was as hip as it fucking got for a couple years. And all of a sudden, the most popular girl in school liked me, Sasha. And then quickly thereafter, Denise Valentine wanted my number. And so I was going to basketball games and just making out for 2.5 hours straight. Oh, I would go up their shirt and I was afraid to go under their bra because I thought it would hurt them. Like that thing was so fucking
like
tight.
It's attached to them.
It's just so tight. Like for me to get my hand between the what is that wire and their skin felt like I was going to be hurting their back. So I just grab onto the material, the fabric of the bra.
I wish
and
you
that
could make
you honking
with his hands right now.
I'm really honking.
The worst.
Yeah,
He's
so I
been
was
honking for like 30 minutes.
I was doing some deep French kissing and a lot of over the bra.
Totally.
Second basing.
The French kissing was like really wild back then.
Nobody knew what
it
won't
the fuck
get
they
better.
were doing.
I don't think it'll get better than
can't.
those early makeout
It
sessions.
can't.
I felt like, what is this feeling?
Yeah.
It is like
actual like rushes of like crazy
endorphins.
endorphins
God
all
knows
over the
what.
place.
Boners, those were happening. Well, sure. Yeah. Well, anyways,
you were
junior
popular.
high. I liked junior high.
Can I just say something really quick?
Yeah.
Girls are not really online until middle school. So it's
In
not
what
like
way?
like it's not like they just didn't like you. They didn't like boys very much.
No,
Like,
I can tell you my friend Trevor, who was like my cool friend in elementary, he was dating Amy, who was the hottest girl in elementary for like 3 years. They'd like bring each other's Valentine's.
dating is not.
Yeah, they weren't hooking up.
They just like decided that's my boyfriend, but they probably didn't like each other in a real
I
way.
hope not.
Because
They're still together, aren't they? Still don't like each
Joke's
other.
on you, Monica. They just got divorced. No, I feel you.
I know what you mean.
If I had to pick a year to be successful,
I think you did good, is what I'm telling you.
I agree.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that. I was not.
When did you start
flirting.
French kissing?
French kissing? I actually remember I had.
Because I got a feeling you were hot to try it.
I was
Hot to try.
I was like a little concerned about all that stuff.
What
like,
about?
It made me feel that it was invasive. I had like a real problem. I remember in 4th grade, I still feel bad about this. This is pretty fucked up. In 4th grade, sweet Alex Martirosian. Alex, if you're out there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you deserve this amends,
This is
Alex.
bad.
Yeah.
I still really, he wrote me, I will never forget. He wrote me a love letter in science class. And I was so angry. I couldn't, I was like, fuck You're going to make me have to think about your disgusting feelings for it. Was literally like the most beautifully written, like, you're this, you're that. I was like, you don't fucking know me. I'm focusing on sight. I was like so embarrassed that I was furious. And I marched up to the teacher and I was like, you going to fucking do anything about this? Because I can't focus on my work with this pervert behind me. I like freaked out. My parents said they got like a phone call that I was like losing my mind.
Why do you think that
I think I was like I was not used to by that point. I was really not interested. I liked kind of blending into the background, and I was like in shorts. I actively didn't want to think about any of that kind of stuff. I just was not interested in thinking about opening up the category of being sexualized. Yeah, I did not want to even go there, and I think I so didn't understand it that I was just like, you have got to go somewhere. I did not.
Well, again, and this kind of goes counter to like your perception of, you think a kid raised on a set around all adults, and there's like, yeah. So I kind of of the opinion, and I think this, when parents stress out about like their kid's sexuality, in my experience,
it's just personal.
It happens when it happens. Yeah. It doesn't really, it doesn't seem to be influenced by like what your friends are doing or whatever. Because I had friends, buddies who, again, during this highlight of my life, junior high, some of us were horny as hell. Totally. And other guys who had girlfriends and were good looking and were like, seemed to be mature. They weren't. They didn't want to do that. And that was that.
I think it is. It's so personal. I mean, I think you're totally right. And then, I remember.
When did it come online?
It all started when I remember I kind of came online in about 7th grade. I remember I literally always wore culottes. Like, it was just not an issue. It was like the only thing I had.
Are those pants or shoes culottes?
I'm not sure. Okay. They're pants and shoes. They're like sort of pants. They're like, it's sort of like, is this like a skirt?
Clam dinger? Oh, no.
A clam dinger? First of all, it's clam dingers, not clam dinger. That's something completely different.
You can do some clam dinging on spring break.
Culotte, perhaps. And I feel like, it was like, it's basically like a skort.
Okay, great.
Is culottes. Yeah. And
you loved them.
I loved them. Well, they allowed me to dig in the dirt, air. I was, it's like I was busy like looking for snakes in the grass and stuff.
You're an amateur entomologist.
Really sad. And so then I remember this girl, Jennifer, one day being like, you never, ever are ever going to wear a skirt. And I was like, that's not true. I wear them all the time. And she was like, you actually don't even own a skirt. And I was like, you'll see tomorrow, bitch. And went home and I was like, we got to get to the uniform store. And I like made my mom go and get me a skirt just to prove her wrong. And the day after that, I showed her wrong. And then after that, I was like, this is okay, because they still let you wear shorts under the skirt. So I was like, joke's on you guys. I look great, but I feel even better. It was like that kind of thing. Right.
It's so almost like the reverse of the women who wear the full I've met these women in Qatar. They have the full, what is it? The hijab's the top part.
Right.
And then
the burqa.
The burqa, whatever the whole floor to ceiling number is, right? And I don't mean offense by this. But under that, do you know that under that they're wearing Chanel and all, like they wear super, super expensive brand name clothes underneath.
Cool.
And you went backwards.
Yeah,
you had like a flashy thing on the outside and a burqa underneath.
I did. Yeah. I just had to have it be like the utility. I needed the utility for it all. But that sort of was when I was like, okay, well, the skirt's kind of cute, and I guess I look kind of cute. And I think
as I aspiring to be like a park ranger at this point?
I still am aspiring to be a park ranger. Are you joking? Fair. That's my second. That's my alternate career as a park ranger.
You'd be great at that.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I love being by myself.
You twist up a little doobie.
I'll nonstop
check on the trash cans.
Me just like starting fires in the forest because I'm smoking doobies up there.
Go. And then investigating it too, and not realizing it's you until a whole career.
What could it have caused?
Yeah, it's like one of those psychological thrillers where the guy realizes he's the killer.
It is. It's like Shutter Island, but like it meets like Superbad meets Shutter Island.
Yeah, you can't get to the bottom of this, and you're even finding roaches, and you're like, okay, we know the person's a heavy marijuana user.
I love it so much. But so I think it started then, and I remember the first time.
Just get to the hot part.
This is the hot part.
Yeah.
I was at
enough about your cool
the roller. I remember I was at the roller rink and there was a really cute boy who I liked and everybody liked, and he was the best rollerblader and he was on hockey teams, and was wearing jeans from Limited 2 that had stars on them, and he was like, I like your jeans. Literally the star was like on the knee and he touched my knee and I was like doink, like couldn't believe it. Actually. And then I remember like a few roller rink sessions later, he kissed me and it was my first kiss, and he jammed
fast.
his tongue down my throat so far, and I hit him so hard across the face. I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand that was part of it. No one had ever even explained that you were going to do that. I thought it was just like a simple mouth to mouth
exchange.
No problem.
Yeah,
and I smacked him so hard across the face. And then I was like, sorry, do you still like me? Can we do more kissing now? And then it was fine. And then we dated for like a year and a half. He was like my junior high school boyfriend.
Oh, that's great. I want to bring up one of it's got to be in my top 5 YouTube videos I've ever seen in my life. And it is you as a baby on a talk show on Rosie O'Donnell.
Can you believe?
Rewatched it today.
So crazy.
And you're with Sandra Bullock and you were playing her daughter at that point in Hope Floats. Yes. I assume you were promoting the movie, right?
I must have been.
And she was probably, you loved Sandy, right? She was so
She was my
great.
Best friend.
She was your best friend.
And she really again, I'm lucky, like on the show that I'm on now, I have a kid who I adore and eat lunch with in my trailer every day.
Say the name of the show for the people who aren't watching
Good Girls
it. Good
Girls on NBC.
Okay. Ironically titled because you guys are not Good Girls,
yeah,
right?
Good Girls are bad. Yeah, you're gonna love it.
Okay,
but so I know, but it's so funny to me that like back in the day, I remember my parents would like walk me over to Sandy's trailer because I'd be like, trust me, I have a lunch date. Like I have to be over there in 10 minutes. And they'd be like, sorry if she's being annoying. And I was just like, you guys are so out of touch. We have a serious relationship. And
I'm sure you did. Though.
We did. And I remember we talked about serious shit, and it was like a relationship stuff, and just like we talked about everything. She would take me out to like dinners and we'd hang out. I mean, it was like she
Cabo.
really made me feel like Cabo. I didn't even see the sunsets. We were having such intense conversations. But it was
Martinis.
like I felt so lucky.
You guys were like living Sex in the City, basically.
Actually, just the two of us.
What I want people to look for, and because I know you so well, it's so fun for me to watch it, because what I see when I watch it, I want to know if you have any recollection of this, is that you're very fucking smart and you're very intuitive and you're very perceptive. And there is a point in the interview where they start treating you a little cute.
Yeah.
And you turn a little bit.
I totally do.
Rosie's trying to have asides with Sandy about how adorable you are, but you're like, hey, this is my bro. This is what
right?
Yes. I am. I'm imagining you're thinking like, whatever, pulling her aside, like jokes on, like we're friends, not you. Like, I know you think I'm this little kid, but we're fucking going to Cabo and you're not. And it's really obvious to me when I watch it when it turns, because they think, well, I doubt Sandy thought, because she knew you very well. But Rosie thought it was going over your head, and it
Sandy
wasn't.
Even like
trying to correct.
What? Chill. Like she's giving me a but it's funny too, because it's also like there's a vibe of like professionalism under my little tiny like fit cheeks, where I'm like, sort of like, guys, let's keep this on the rails. This is, we're on television. I'm like, anyway, let's go straight. Like I'm giving, and like Sandy's kind of like going off the record, giving me a little jokey nudge and shit. And I even give her a look a couple of times where I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll do that later. That's for fun time. Now's work time. Like I have this like weird little tense. And I think that's the interview where she asked me what I want for Christmas, and I say a Stairmaster.
Yes.
Which I actually still want. I still want a Stairmaster.
I would be so happy to buy that for you next Christmas.
Dax,
I will do that.
After all these years.
Mark my words. But it's so fun to watch, because you're too smart and you're too perceptive. But what's so funny is like you can only be so smart and so perceptive at that time, because you don't have the wherewithal to go like,
I know,
it's time for me to play my role.
Totally.
Yep, I'm the cute little kid who doesn't understand.
No.
Which, by the way, it never gets easy to play your role, because you'll find yourself as an adult actor in some weird, like, I don't know, I'm assuming when you were out like promoting Wallflower, like people have their roles, and even they have their roles in the movie, and then they also have it out promoting, right?
And again, I've been lucky in that like my roles have varied so much, and it's been a dream for me that I never felt totally typecast, except for being typecast as like the weirdo, where I always got to do something really different, and I could be a chameleon and have different haircuts and be different people and blah blah blah. So that kind of is one cool element of being sort of a little off kilter. Is I never felt like I was like jammed into one box that I couldn't bust out of.
But if I have to say one thing I've observed that I had observed in you during Parenthood, which couldn't be more sympathetic to. This, by the way, this is the kind of thing that would trigger the fuck out of me because I feel less than easily.
Yeah.
I see that little kid on the couch, and I see that like the part of that little kid carried over to Parenthood because like me, many of the people there don't recognize you've been doing this for 15 years, right? And I think even the network to some level is like you're playing a 14-year-old on the show, so they feel like they're gonna have a lot of say over how your hair is, what clothes you're wearing, right? Whereas they didn't really try that with me because I was like a 32-year-old dude, and they kind of knew what they were getting when they hired me. Like, oh, he's supposed to be the wild card. Yeah, he wants to have his hair long, whatever. No one ever said anything to me about my hair. Yeah. But they did, at the beginning at least, right? They did try to micromanage those things. And I think you were probably dying to scream, motherfuckers, I've been doing this for 2 decades. I know how I want to wear my goddamn hair. I deserve the same latitude that fucking Craig T. Nelson gets or Lauren gets. Yeah. So did that irk you a bit when we first started on Parenthood?
You know, it's a weird thing. I think people do just tend in any situation to judge a book by its cover. It's like a classic thing that we do. And we were talking about that as far as like identity and you have a triple whammy because you were young, you were a female, and you're also tiny. That's right. That's right.
And so
it
for
really
Belle,
makes a big difference. Yes. And I remember actually my dad sort of teaching me that because I remember as I did sort of start to come into my own sort of consciousness, I remember there was this one project I was working on when I was like 16 or so, and I was the second lead, and I remember there was our base camp AD. It was this guy, and he just probably like early 30s, and he just couldn't have been dripping with more resentment and sarcasm towards me. Like everything, it would be like the breakfast and the thing. Yeah, he just was so like, and you could just tell. And I was like, what the fuck? I barely know this guy. And I might talk to my dad about it, and he was like, you're gonna have to fight this on everything that you do, just because you look really young, you are young, and you're tiny, and you're a woman. I remember he just said, the way he's like the way that you prove them wrong is just show them that that's not who you are, and that you are a professional, and that you're good at what you do, and you are kind to everyone, and you deserve to be like heard and treated like a human being back and forth, because I think there's preconceived notions in every job and every situation. And I think there is, especially when it comes to actresses or young actresses, whatever, it can happen that way. And so, I just try to power through it. And I think,
first of all, you never stop fighting.
Yeah,
it's not like you ever rolled over or surrendered. So, surprise everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like Belle, kind of hard to dominate.
Yeah.
And Monica.
I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah. She's rough. But thank God you did, because your character was such a fun element. I used to get such a bang out of, because they did ultimately let you do whatever the fuck you want. There is a couple scenes where you're wearing glasses that are the size of a washing machine.
I know, I love those.
And Belle and I were at home, and we would just be laughing. It was preposterous what was going on, and we were at the same time just so proud of you, because you have such conviction that this person would wear glasses that big.
I mean, it definitely was an accurate portrayal of like people going through identity stuff at that age, which
it was so appropriate for who you were playing and the type of character.
And you never get to see that. That was something I loved so much on Parenthood, was like, you don't get to see that age of girl. You don't get to see them going through the weird. It's always like, bye, I'm off to college, or like just got out of college. It's like you don't get to see that weird in between where you're like, who the fuck am I? What am I wearing? What do I want to do? How do I become the person I want to be? And I was so lucky.
Also, there was these conventions, and again, I sympathize with people who run networks, because it's all such a fucking huge gamble. So they're trying to shore up any potential liability they can. So one of these things is like hair. People's hair has to be this way.
Right.
Or men shouldn't have facial hair. There's these weird little tent poles.
Did you deal with any? Did they ever talk about any of that stuff?
They never really gave. The only thing that ever happened was Trilling and I had a big war over me shaving my beard when I got married to Joy on the show. He really wanted me to shave my beard. And my argument was, every character on the show would shave their beard. Like that's like Krause would shave. Adam would shave his beard. But that's why you have a Crosby on the show, because he won't shave his beard for a wedding, whatever. more love could not be had for Larry Trilling.
Obviously.
I fucking love that
king.
man more than anything. He is our king and our savior.
Yeah.
And I hope he greets me at the pearly gates. But that was maybe one of the only like battles we had. Is I was like, no, man, you have 13 other cast members that, excluding you, that play by the rules. Let's have the fucker that's not playing by the. But that was it. I didn't really get any kind of shit.
I mean, I think it's great. That was, and especially as I work more and more, and of course, I always remember Lauren being like, "You're never gonna have it this good again," and you're like, "Whatever." And then it's really like. The thing that I loved about that job so much, I mean, as of all the millions of things that I loved about that job, but one thing I think that
it was the
so
greatest.
Cool,
Let's just say, right? It was the greatest job any of us have ever had,
and will ever have. I really believe it so strongly.
So if you like the show, I hope you take pleasure in knowing that we even like making it
more
twice as
than
much.
whatever anything we could ever express that words could ever express. It meant the world, and and one thing professionally I loved about it was that when something didn't make sense, I never felt, aside from a rare disagreement or whatever, but I never felt forced to do or say anything without having it explained to me first in a way that made sense. And if it didn't, and if we couldn't figure it out, they were fine to change it. That's something that you just don't get.
It gave us a ton of ownership over it.
Totally, which makes you want to take more care. If
it really
you love
does.
Something.
TV, more than anything, is a writer's medium. It's where the writers have the most control. The writers on movies, generally, they've written it beforehand, and then you're off a year later shooting the thing, and they don't have much say. But TV is really run by writers. They have all the power. And so because of that, typically on TV, they don't let you fuck with what's written.
Right.
That's pretty much the Bible, and you stick to it. Whereas on Parenthood, and Jason Kadam's the guy who created the show, he very much encouraged us to do whatever we wanted.
So cool.
And you and I would have so much fun when we'd have scenes, right? I mean, it required Larry Trilling to like come gently remind us like, well, this scene is, although fun, doesn't resemble at all what it's supposed to do. I know you guys are having fun. Can we at least get,
one or two?
We got to set up this one or two things. But boy, did we just have so much fun.
But also it shows like, and that was something I treasured so much that were able to have that relationship on the show because we really were. I was like mini Crosby. Amber really was the wild card of her thing. Like we related to each other the most. And at all the times that she needed somebody like an adult, quote unquote, to back her up, it was always you. Like we had a very similar attitude and sensibility. So I felt like that was such a special relationship.
Because we pitched this for about 6 years straight. But we made the argument that certainly in some areas of the country, people date their niece.
Sure.
So why is that a topic?
There's also a chance that maybe you were not Craig and Bonnie's, I'm just saying there's always that.
There's a ton
blood child situation.
But ultimately, not because we were attracted to each other, but mostly just because we wanted every scene together.
Yeah.
So we thought if we could just be married on this show. And we just kept trying to like, it's like monkeys at the zoo that just never stopped trying to break out of their enclosure. We kept trying to find like a crack where we could somehow you and I could be a couple.
It plays.
And just be in every scene together.
and we got pretty close, at least. I mean, I remember
in the finale, right? Don't you say something really funny that was improv?
Yeah, that's right. You say like, I have a question for you. And I'm like, I can't marry you.
It got onto the air.
We can't get married. Yeah, I can't believe it made it. It's the best. But also, then thank God the Lunchonette thing, that was something.
But occasionally you and I would tweet like inappropriate stuff, right?
Course.
And then I would forget. It's easy to forget that for people, they only know us maybe as related, right? Yeah. You and I, of course, don't feel related at all. But for the people who are watching the show, it was very disturbing to them when we would joke about that.
Oh, we joke. Even with Miles, people were like obsessed. They were like, "Are you dating Miles?" I mean, there was all kinds of
because Miles lived at your
things.
house.
He still does.
Yeah, he still lives at your house.
But yes, exactly. So there was all kinds of conspiracy theories about that going on.
I think I even nurtured a couple at one point.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm like, here's two of my favorite people. If they're going to live together, clearly they're going to fall in love.
Begging for it.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
I still kind of wish that's what happened.
It might.
Yeah, it might.
Let's keep those fingers crossed.
Yeah. Anything's possible.
Yeah, anything's possible. But yeah, I think that was like, thank God the whole, and again, thank God that they listened to us, because that's how, all the Lunchonette stuff came up and everything else. I remember where I was standing when I like aggressively pitched the Lunchonette to Kadam's outside, and he was just like, I could just see in his eyes, like, so much love and also so much like, please stop talking. I can't take your aggressive yelling anymore.
We had a scene. I think I even have a picture of this scene posted on my Instagram, and it was one of these scenes we filmed many of them where Peter and Mae and I would be in the control room of the Lunchonette. Yes.
So I'm a fan of these.
Monica's a legit Parenthood fan.
Oh, I still watch it almost every night to go to sleep.
It's so soothing.
I love it.
Yeah, I really want to kind of watch it from beginning to end. But anyways, we'd have all these scenes, at least once every couple of weeks we'd be in there, and we have to be listening to a band that's playing, and they're not playing, and we have to be acting super proud and all this stuff.
We're in this tiny room.
And as we got deeper into the years of filming it, you and I we couldn't get through those scenes, right? We
were squeezing each other's knees under the table, like tears streaming.
There are a couple of images from the show where I am full blown crying, but I'm not crying because of why you think. I'm crying because I'm laughing so hard and trying not to make my mouth move.
It's true.
And we're both pinching each other's legs.
There's literally like veins popping out of my forehead as I'm just trying to look neutral. It's like the funniest. I know. We're so lucky.
Yeah.
We really are.
So when you, after leaving that show, you did in rapid succession a bunch of movies, one of them, which I went and saw, which was Perks of Being a Wallflower. And you are so great in it. And I wonder, at any point, did you have someone that you were trying to be? Was there an actor whose career you thought you were aiming at or you were aspiring to have? And did your movie roles fulfill that or feel like it moved you closer to that or not?
Well, my acting coach, by the way, just to throw that out there for him, Andrew McGarry, the whole concept of I went with him on my first movie when I was 4 because I couldn't even read yet. Yeah. And I had to, and he was such a genius at, this is another reason why my perspective was great, is he really incorporated a lot of games and sort of metaphorical things without them knowing that they're metaphorical. There was a lot of like, he would play catch with me and talk about, about the ball and how you got to keep your eye on it. And when you catch it, you always make sure you look at the other person before you throw the thing. So it's like the moment, you would always make sure the person is paying attention and that you really receive what they say first before you throw it back. Like lots of stuff that was really helpful for me as a little kid. But I think
don't shit your pants on set.
Don't shit your pants. That was always number one on the book. Don't always follow that one though. But I think, for me, he's always called me his mini Judi Dench, which I really love, which is like the longevity and the kind of, again, the chameleonness of it, of just being able to do a bunch of stuff. And I think that's always been my dream, is to play weird, imperfect, crazy people all over the map. Of course, Sandra Bullock, I always have adored and looked up to. And again, I just want to be doing this forever.
But one of the things I think that you do, that's great. Yeah. But we touched on it like, I don't know, 3 hours ago. Yeah. But one of the things I've always been happy for you about is that it's very easy if you're in the pursuit of this career to make it your entire life, because you're constantly fighting for a job and you got to get this and you got to get the blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how you are so well adjusted and healthy to have done this. You've made a ton of time for real life. Ever since I've known you, you've dated dudes that lived in different states and you went and spent a lot of time there. You have this crazy passion for music. So you spend a good deal of time either surrounding yourself with musicians or writing and singing your own stuff. And what I think is great about that is, this is my own personal taste, no disrespect to anyone. There are many actors that I don't enjoy watching because I honestly don't think they've ever been anything but an actor. There's a couple of very Academy Award winning female actresses I can think about top of my head that I'm like, I don't think you've done anything but act in your entire life. I just don't really buy it. Yeah. And then occasionally a guy like Russell Crowe, albeit maybe not the greatest guy to share a hotel room with, when he...
Is that from personal experience?
No, didn't he like knock someone in the head with a phone?
Oh my God.
Like he went
He's had some like really big aggression.
I think he might have some anger issues. Yeah. But when he came on screen the first time I saw him in, I guess that movie, maybe Mulholland, what was it? Do you guys
Gladiator.
Remember? No, not Gladiator. That followed that.
Going from Mulholland to Gladiator is really a lot.
But anyways, it's set in Hollywood in the 30s or whatever, and he's like kind of a private. He's a cop. Anyways, he shows up to this call because a guy's beating his wife.
L.A. Confidential.
L.A. Confidential. Thank you so much. And he walks up to the porch and he looks at the guy and he goes, "When's the last time you danced with a man?" And I was like, oh, this motherfucker's knocked dudes out. This dude has knocked dudes out. He didn't get like stage fighting training.
Totally.
And I was like, oh, this is a real man who's tangled assholes with many a drunk customer. Like there's just something that's palpable that I can feel. So I think you have that. And I think you're living this very colorful kind of bohemian life. And it kind of like percolates up or burbles up in when I watch you perform. I go, oh, there's a girl with a whole bunch of interests. Yeah.
I mean, you're right that is something. And again, that was something my parents always really helped me with, was the perspective that and again, for better or for worse, because I'm sure I'd probably be more, maybe having a really strong drive brings you more work or bigger work. I don't know. But to me, they really were always like, your personal life and health and love does come first. And it has to when you're, I mean, at least for me and the kind of person I am, and I'm sensitive and it takes me a lot of time to process things, and energy goes out very quickly and it's hard to sort of build back up. So it is, for example, I remember when I was in school, there was some big movie in 8th grade that they were offering me, but my school was going on a field trip to Washington, D.C. And I was like, well, I don't want to miss it. And that's what I want to do. And they were like, great. Yeah. So do that. So it was like, that was always encouraged, as not letting, and I think it's hard too, because this industry, especially,
you feel like if you leave for 5 minutes, they're going to forget you.
And it feels like the only thing in the world. Like it's the sort of tone is always like, yeah, well, I don't care if it's your grandma's funeral. You got an audition in Brentwood at 4. Like, there's just sort of this tone of like, obviously that shit doesn't matter and this should come first. And I think having a nice, like deeply ingrained, family feeling in there of like, that's actually not the way I operate. And that's okay. Yeah. I can, do my thing. It's like you're saying, it does help me become a balanced person and definitely have more to give and more to relate and put behind my performance.
Why are you so attracted to musicians? You've dated about 25 of them.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. I do.
Refuse to comment. I feel hurt. I feel.
When you see a Dakar.
Oh no! You deserve that.
That's what the kids
Instant
say.
karma, guys.
That's kind of cute.
Instant karma.
That's what Lincoln
says.
used to call it.
Yeah.
No,
a
really?
Dakar.
Yeah. Dakar.
Yeah.
That's so
and then we
cute.
started saying it so much that now I don't even know what it's called.
Oh,
a guitar.
A guitar.
When you see a guitar
I
case,
see a guitar case.
you start like fluffing up your hair and shit, right? You put perfume on it.
You know what?
Swallow your food.
I'm an adult. No more musicians.
Why do you think you've always been attracted to them? Is that something like that you? Well, clearly you love it and you do it. Is that like, do you have a fantasy that maybe you should have or could have gone and done music?
Yeah. I mean, I think if I hadn't been an actor, I probably would be like.
Or a park ranger.
That's on the table.
That's right.
I think I definitely would have probably been like all over the place with like full sleeves of tattoos and like hair all over. I mean, I love to rock out. I love, when I was a teenager, I was like listening to like weird, like hardcore and stressful emo. Like I was all over the map, but I definitely, music is like, for acting is it's me. It's everything that I am. It's like in every particle of me, but the music is like a big like active passion of mine. It's what I get excited about. And I love singing and playing music.
Val and I both, we've been brought to tears when you sing.
I can't, you guys are can you believe how supportive these assholes are?
When you come over and just sing in the living room.
I remember just sitting on the mantle of the fireplace and playing some tunes.
It's Christmas. A little overwhelming. I liked it so much that I got self-conscious that like, oh, Kristen's a professional singer. And I'm like openly weeping over Mae, saying this is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. And actually, like I was so into it that I had the moment where I was like, "Hey, check in with your wife.
Yeah.
Let her know you think she's a damn good singer." But between you and I was you're a much better singer.
Between you and I and the whole
I'm like,
world.
tell the Frozen people that.
Yeah.
Please, my God, I felt so fucking self-conscious singing in front of her. I was like, she's like the best singer I've ever heard, and I'm here being like.
No, but
like,
you know what?
It's just
you
different.
sing, and the quality that you have that makes you a good singer is the exact same quality that makes you a good actor, which is you are your own brand. Like when you sing, you don't sound like anyone else to me. You're not trying to sound like one of my Belle and I will argue about this. I'll go like, I don't dig musical theater singers because they go to a college and they learn how to sing like every other musical theater teacher. And by the way, I'm probably wrong about that statement, but that is how I feel about it. Whereas like I go, oh, this gal just opened up her mouth and that's what came out, and she never tried to make it anything else. And you play the guitar really well too.
It's weird though. It's like the most vulnerable thing ever. Like I could do any acting situation in any place. It's the most vulnerable for me. It's the thing that I like. For some reason, you remember when I did that scene where we all had to in Parenthood, the open mic night. I was like, and it was so stressful too because it was like my Braverman family was sitting right in front of me. Then my whole crew family, who I'd known for all these years, was watching, and then my like actual family and friends came and sat in the back and watched, and I was truly like,
and Alex, the guy who wrote you the love note, who's been following you ever since.
He's listening. Mark my words.
Did you write that song?
Actually, my boyfriend at the time, Landon Pig.
We love Piggy.
We love Piggy. Yeah. Still love Piggy.
Yeah, special singer.
Amazing musician. He actually wrote it for me, which was so cool too, to have somebody that once Kadams kind of found out that I could play guitar and sing, he was like, oh, let's bring this into it. But it was great with Landon. He wrote a couple songs for the show.
Oh, cool.
He had a couple of popular songs that were on,
definitely.
Coffee House Radio.
They still are still
Yeah, what's the one that I really like?
Falling in Love at a Coffee Shop. I think that possibly, maybe I'm falling for you. It's a little out of my range, but yeah. And so he wrote it, which was very cool, and I was happy to have that resource.
Did you do full
in a
frontal?
play?
In a play? Mm-hmm. What play?
So I did a play called The Mystery of Love and Sex by Bathsheba Badran that opened in London or New York. I can't remember. London. And then I did it at the Taper here.
You did?
Mark Taper Forum. It's
what
like
year?
900 people. This was probably like...
Last week?
Yeah, it was probably like 20 minutes ago. No, it was probably about like, I want to say 3 years ago.
So post-Parenthood.
Post-Parenthood, yeah.
You went full nude on stage.
Every night.
Every night?
Every single night. 8 shows a week.
Please explain that.
Yeah.
It was actually really beautiful. And, again, I haven't done any nudity on film or anything like that. So that was it was an interesting thing. But the thing that I really loved, I've never actively been against it. It was sort of like everything in my career. Again, it's if it makes sense to my heart and it makes sense, then I can do it. It's just sort of never felt important. But this script I really loved, and it's sort of about these it's a family and also the daughter and her best friend and how their sexualities form over the years and expectations and all these things. And sort of there's this scene where they are in college and they've been best friends for forever, and they're so intimate already, and she basically begs him to have sex with her. She's like begging him to love her. She's like, it makes perfect sense. I mean, we're basically in love. Why won't you just do it? And blah, blah, blah. And she's trying to kind of convince him, and they're drunk and all this stuff. And she has this like really vulnerable moment where she just rips off all her clothes and is like begging him with tears in her eyes and like, to have sex with her and be in love with her, and he won't do it. And it's like kind of forms her whole thing of shame and pain and everything else. So it forms the rest of her. Yeah. And and again, it didn't feel, it's obviously I was super nervous the whole time.
Yes.
And what was weirdly difficult
Were you thinking about your body? Like, cause if I was in that situation, I'm like, I really got to get my stomach in shape.
Oh, totally.
For this.
You can't help think about it.
You're a human fucking being.
But again, at the end of the day, I just was kind of like, fuck it. I was like, this is what it is.
How long are you standing there naked in front of 900 people?
Not super long. It's weirdly, it was almost more vulnerable to be in my underwear because it's like suggestive. Like you're like, ooh, there's things under here, which again, I'm like, what is the concept of like American nightmare about like nudity and everything else? But that then I'm only naked. It's really not. It's probably like a solid 30 seconds that I'm standing there in front of him. And then I go get in
eternity,
bed.
I think.
It's it feels like a fucking eternity. But then I go get covered up in a bed or anything else. But it was weird. It was literally like the buildup was so stressful. And then once I did it, I was like, I felt free. And I felt like, I'm a human being. Like, what are you all, what are we all panicked about here?
Clothes is a recent invention.
It's a suggestion. It's a light suggestion is what it should be. But I remember, like, of course, a lot of the people in the audience were older. And
what do your parents do? Do they come see
I gave them a cue as to when to look away.
Yeah, sure.
As I did with anybody that I was like, this could be inappropriate.
Sir Tony,
please, I just would rather not even go there.
Yeah, you don't
we
need
just
that.
don't need it.
Yeah.
Nobody needs that. But it was actually amazing. And it made me feel, and the other thing is it's momentary. There's no pictures. It doesn't take people out of
Did that scare you though in an era where everyone's holding a camera?
I was like, you know what? Shame on them if you do that in a nice theater with a thing. Like, screw you. And you know, whatever. If it is, it's like you've seen it, you have the mental picture. Sure, do it. But
yeah, and I'm not excusing anyone's behavior ever. But boy, if you could just spend a few hours in a 17-year-old boy's mind, the things that make sense to you.
Thanks. Yeah,
I could see some teenage kid just being like, oh boy,
totally.
Oh my god, I got to remember this forever.
Of course, I think phones. I'm like. Phones are a problem, and I'm so like I'm ready to move to the big ranch in the sky and stop all the technology and sit outside with a shotgun and have my cows running around or whatever.
Right, just occasionally drop one.
Yeah, all of a sudden I was like, why do I need a shotgun? I'm in the middle of. I just shoot one off into the sky every night.
But as these how many shows did you do where you're naked?
It was on for almost 2 months, and it was 8 shows a week.
Okay, so that's 8 times 8. That's 64 shows.
No idea what minimally. The math is.
Okay, so Monica, one of my favorite things is do math on this show.
He likes to do fast math.
Really? Yeah, he did. Look, he was all
really excited about it.
Towards the end, do you just kind of forget that that's even a thing? Yeah. So when I was directing Chips, and I had a scene where I was bare naked, and I had a Crown Royal bag over my dick and balls, and so you start off with the robe on, and then the Crown Royal bag's really in position, and then they throw me against a wall 3 times on an air ratchet, and then I'm telling people where they need to move a light or whatever, and I find that after 3 hours, the fucking Crown Royal bag is the balls have come out. It's probably just around the head of the penis. There's shaft, there's balls, and I'm just talking to people, and I just totally forget.
Yeah,
There was as I was driving home that night, I was like, someone could complain to the studio, but it was genuinely, I just forget.
Yeah.
I was concentrating on other things, and
it really is the buildup that you're panicked
I would forget I was naked after an hour of it.
You don't even think about it literally at all.
I don't know if I should feel flattered or upset you didn't invite me to this, because it could go either way.
It should go both ways. There's a little bit of both in there.
Yeah. I mean, part of me doesn't want to see my BB naked, and then part of me needs to see my BB naked and support her,
Yeah,
help her.
I get it, man. There's a war inside you. I know.
Kristen, similarly, she was in Hair.
Yeah.
And the end of Hair, they all get naked and they sprint up and down the audience and shit. And she was telling me that she had a boyfriend, and he was considerably older than her. She was dating a 38-year-old man or something in college that she had met after doing her performance in Hair. And I'm like,
stop,
honey, I'm sorry. I just don't trust this man's motive. You're watching a 19-year-old frolic up and down the aisles nude, and then take her out for a croissant or something. I don't really know.
Croissant.
Did anyone ever ask you out after? Yeah,
no.
he was a Frenchman.
No, actually, nobody cared.
They didn't
Which
care.
I'm again, I'm hey, yeah, why didn't I get any nice dates after that? No, it was cool. I liked it.
And then there's just 2 last things I want to talk to you about. You're in trouble. I've never seen someone love something as much as you love Taylor Swift. Can you just tell us what is it about?
I thought you were going to say Taylor Kitsch.
Oh, there's that too.
Because that's a big thing for you,
and the
right?
Taylors? It's enough already.
You have a major lady bone for Taylor Kitsch, but everyone does.
Yeah, everyone does.
I suppose everyone likes Taylor Swift, but when you pop on her music, I've witnessed it in the trailer. I think my first post ever on Instagram, it's still on there. Yeah, is you putting on a dance routine to her music. And when it first started, I thought, this is ironic, because you're very offbeat, left of center, all these things. And then this is straight up the fucking middle, bullseye America, McDonald's apple pie. And it got you.
I love those apple pies.
Is it because she's such a talented songwriter?
Yes.
That's what
genuinely love her music.
I've come to love it. Having daughters, I now love it. I love He's so tall and handsome as hell. He's so bad, but he does it so well. I can think of hell. I can think of that. You must because say you remember me standing on a sunset,
baby. Yeah, that's a
red lips and rose cheeks.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable song. They're all. I'm telling you.
The girl can do it, right?
The girl can do it. She's just a great songwriter. She really is.
How many times have you seen her in concert?
Well, a lot.
Have you traveled to see her?
No, but I've seen her. I went twice for her last album. 2 nights in a row.
Have you become friends with her?
I actually have. I mean, I don't see her every day, but we definitely also, you know, Jack Antonoff, Rachel's brother,
yes,
writes a lot of her stuff with her now
I didn't
and
know
recorded
that.
her albums and stuff. This whole last album he wrote and like with her on and produced a lot of the stuff and everything. And he's like my brother, obviously. So we've definitely we're sort of running in similar circles at some points. So I've hung out with her and she's excellent and amazing and very cool. And
did your love for her precede your introduction? Like, did she know you were obsessed? Because you're very public about it.
I know.
You've talked about it in press.
She probably must have gotten a bad vibe from me at the time. I mean, I do remember that like when I thought I was going to meet her for the first time, I was like, what the fuck do I wear? I truly was like,
oh, good. You were like worried about
should I be like emo? Should I be like cute? Should I wear my dust off the old culottes? Like I truly was like, how do I? And then of course, once I just relaxed, she was like the most normal. We like talked about like feta cheese. It was like the most normal, calm situation ever. And I was like, I need to just chill the fuck out.
Yeah. And do you find, because there are people that I'm obsessed with publicly, right? And I love them from their movies and stuff. Like Brad Pitt.
Oh,
you know, like I can't stop talking about him. I just think about him all the time. I want him to take his shirt off in every scene he's in, like all these things. And so there's a handful of people that I've felt that way about. And then I've come to know them in real life. Right. And of course, they're almost never are they the person that I have in my mind. And then, but then I decide to keep it separate. So I still have some of these people. I hold in my head two different versions of them.
Totally.
And I still love the movie star version.
And I think that's cool to do. I think it's good to do that. I mean,
because in general, it's generally disappointing, right? Because they become a mythical figure in your head.
You put them on the pedestal. It's like a classic thing.
Yes.
It's too much.
Yes. It's like, I've told Monica this story. You know, I used to watch Party of Five, and I was in physical pain when Nev Campbell would have scenes. Like it was soul crushing how in love I was with her. The fact that I'm sitting in fucking Dum Dum, Michigan, while she's out in California. What am I doing there? We are clearly meant to be together, and it was heavy on my soul. And then I finally met her. I was in Nate Tuck's movie that he produced. She was in it. And I like met her at the craft service line in the morning for breakfast. And I had been drinking all night. I was an extra in the scene. And I thought that was really cool then. I was just telling Monica the story the other day. And like, I kind of moseyed up to the craft service line and then like tried to strike up some small talk. And she was like, hi, what are you going to have for breakfast? And I was like, oh, I think I'm going to drink my breakfast, which I thought was so funny. Me and my alcoholic friends thought was funny. And the look on her face was like, oh, cool. You're going to drink your breakfast. It was such a lead balloon. I might as well have just pulled down my pants and farted in front of her and then stared at her and waved. It couldn't have gone worse. It was so embarrassing.
Your big chance.
But in my mind, the girl that I was in love with from TV was going to love that line, right? Like, oh, look at this renegade. He's an actor, but he's also an outlaw renegade.
Meanwhile, she's like, I just got up. Like, I have a job too. Who the fuck? What are you doing?
And then that's the first place I met Matthew Lillard, because they were dating at the time, and he came to visit her on set.
Sexy.
And this gregarious motherfucker started talking to me, and I'm like, oh my God, he's such a better match for her than I am. I think I'm more in love with this guy.
He's got it going on.
Yeah, he over-delivered.
Yeah,
I was like,
course.
I digress.
But I digress, still angry. I think you're right that does happen often. And, again, I think it is separate lanes. Like, I love to hang out with her, and I'm so like, I genuinely think she's so nice and so kind and really cool every time I've hung out with her. And she's very like inclusive. She always, like, if I'm in town or something, she'll invite me. It's very, very nice. But also, I just literally am her big. I think she musically is so. And I actually did get the chance to talk to her about it at the dinner that I met her at, which was cool. It wasn't like scary that I knew her. I did. It was like, I can't hide this. I can't be like, sorry, what was your name again? Like, I can't. And I sort of just was like, she was talking about her new album or some element of it, and I was like, I just want to say, I think it's really cool that I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and I've grown up and had my musical tastes have changed so much, but I find that you're really able to, keep all your retain your fans and grow and be different and evolve, but also bring on new fans. Like, it's an amazing thing, and it was like totally normal. And she was like, thanks, and blah, blah, blah. And we kind of talked about production value, just like cool shit that I was curious about. So that was a big relief that, she was that cool. But I do just think she's excellent. I think her music is really great. I love it.
We love her. And we love to watch you dance to her. And I really implore everyone to go into my Instagram and
Go
scroll
back to that
down.
first post.
Yeah, do a deep dive in that IG
I was
account
so
of mine.
like flexible. I can't imagine even like
you look like you're on Molly at Coachella, and you're in your trailer. It smells like all the fucking takeout boxes of food you had in there, and your dog Kenny Chesney. I mean, what a scene! But you'd never know that by seeing you are on a
vision of
pink
perfection.
cloud tap dancing.
It was the last time I danced, I think.
Okay, well, before I let you go, Mae Whitman, love of my life,
Dax Shepard,
my bebe, my sweetest
Poppy
bebe. This and Monica can attest to this. So we have a lot of wonderful people that listen to this podcast, and they always are vocal about who they want to be on. And hands down, I mean, by like a factor of 10, you're the single most requested guest.
I feel like I disappointed them. Can we redo this whole thing?
Yeah, we'll redo it tomorrow morning. You'll have your guitar.
Your Dakar.
Get your Dakar out.
My Dakar.
But,
wow, that is so nice.
Yeah, definitely the most.
I know why. Because everyone knows that you guys love each other so much.
That's true.
And they're excited to.
Well, and people really, really like you, though. Do you like your new show?
Love my new show. I think it's so fun. First of all, to be back on NBC. I know it sounds like I'm like reading a script.
Do you shoot at Universal?
We did the pilot at Universal, and then we actually filmed in Atlanta.
Okay.
I loved Atlanta. It was hard.
Well, you can love
a
city and not want to relocate. to it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That is really fucking hard.
Yes.
Relocating for 6 months of your life. I sort of was like, had the same. I was like, I can do this. Just like going on tour, having a good time. And I was like, I am still trying to like reintegrate back into normal life. I came back twice in 6 months.
Well, how many times was I texting you like, hey, baby, what the fuck?
Are you alive?
Over.
Are you alive? Like, didn't even, I literally am like, this has been the first week that I've been home where I've actually like been able to go out and do stuff. Like, cause then after that I went to New York and we had to do press for a long time. Like you're just so all over. But I mean, thank God I'm doing it with like the coolest women and Matt Lillard, obviously, but all the coolest cast and Christina Hendricks and Retta, who I fucking
Someone
adore.
told me Christina Hendricks in person is even more stunning.
She's
like that
the
she's one of
most
these people that
beautiful-
kind of over delivers.
She's the most beautiful. Well, I've always been like, she is so beautiful. And I remember I met her once in an elevator at a hotel and in New York, and we had done a Tinkerbell movie together, but we never met.
Yeah, because Mae's the voice of Tinkerbell, by the way. She's done.
Noticed. Yes. I am the voice of Tinkerbell. Yeah. And she was in one, and she kind of was like, hey, I just want to say I'm a fan of Parenthood, and blah, blah. And I was like looking up at her beautiful,
you were also at
beautiful
her
blue eyes.
Yeah.
She's the most beautiful. From that moment, I was just like totally obsessed with her, and she has the best style, and she's just so cool, and she's like, I mean, she's so smart, chill as fuck, and she's very, I mean, Retta too. I was very lucky because that show, it's got a very interesting tone. It's like very comedic, but then it gets very dark very quickly, and so it's hard. And again, when you're away from your home and your family for that long, it's just very difficult. That's why I was like, thank God I have these people and on, and this job, that because otherwise I would be totally screwed. But we were such an excellent team, and we loved doing what we were doing so much. And I think the show is really great, and it has elements of Parenthood to it, which is what I love, is that it's like, it starts out and you think it's going to be this like grounded family drama, and then the women sort of get swept into a tornado of stressful shit that gets they get out very out of their element. But it also always is grounded by their love for their kids. I play a mom.
You do.
I play a teen mom. I had a kid at 16. So
you're playing Lorelai.
I'm basically playing Lorelai, my hero.
Yeah.
I am like ripping everything off in my performance from Lauren Graham.
Okay,
of course.
good. That's a good benchmark.
Who I rip everything off of.
Yeah, you
in general.
love Lauren Graham.
I fucking love
I've been jealous.
Lauren.
I've been jealous.
It's hard to not be jealous.
She's like your idol.
Well, she's like,
I'm just
perfect.
your dad. Yeah.
I'm just your lame ass, hot, expensive looking, rich looking dad.
This is the one thing I wanted to say is my favorite texts in the world are from Mae, because they always start with either, hey, you handsome piece of shit, which this is my favorite greeting ever, is hey, you handsome piece of shit. And then always you're telling me how wealthy I am, which I think is so funny.
And it's all
over.
over.
Like if you see me in a talk show, like when Mae will catch me on a talk show, she won't say, hey, you were funny. She'll text me, you look so rich on that talk show.
It's is true. I'm always like, those fucking jeans look so expensive, Dax.
You handsome piece of
You
shit.
fucking, that's
Rich,
because I'm like,
handsome
I mean,
piece of
I'm
shit.
like wearing like sweatpants. I like can't imagine looking as good as you do. So I have to comment on it.
But she's your idol. Like
She is really like my hero.
Yeah.
I just think she's
awesome. I love her.
She's so amazing. And she's so amazing in every category. I mean, enough already. It's like the novels, the thing. I mean,
But listen, I'm being selfish that I want to be everything to you, and I have to settle for being a DD, and that's a beautiful title to have.
it's a thankless job, but it's the one that at the end of like the movie where you're like dead and buried in the ground, like I will weep upon your grave every day and put flowers and be like, I wish you knew that you were more than just my DD.
And then you and Lauren will peel out of the grave site and throw
on
a
your
bottle.
motorcycle.
Yeah, and then you'll throw a bottle of wild
I'll
turkey.
throw my Grey Goose down and jump on your
and
motorcycle.
totally disrespect every wish I ever had for you as a good BB. Well, listen.
no.
Sweetest angel, I love you so much.
I love you more, DD. Thank you for having me, and I'm gonna come back and sing a song if you.
Monica,
let
is there
me.
anything as a longtime Parenthood fan that you want to ask me that I'm
trying to think if there's anything else that I need to
should've-
tell
you
people
know,
about
can
you.
I tell you,
List
May,
of
that
questions.
Monica's really filled the hole that you left, because Monica's like my
Monica.
sweetest BB now too.
I feel good about leaving her in charge
In fact,
of
didn't
you.
I tell you, like when you guys met, I'm like, you guys would be the greatest friends.
You did. I think
'Cause you
so.
guys are both my soulmates, and I
Fuck
think that we could have a 3-way soulmate thing.
Yeah,
Love
that
that.
sounds fun.
Love that.
And
I
we
think
got to
it's
get Delta
happening.
in the mix,
I think
because
we just did.
Delta's
My
Monica's.
soulmate.
This is what happened yesterday. So I'm gonna have a week off in 2 weeks. So I decided. I had taken Lincoln on a trip when she was 3, just me and her, and we went to North Carolina. And then I was like, it's Delta's turn. So I booked a trip yesterday to go to Michigan. And I come in and she's eating dinner, and she loves her food, May. She loves to eat so much.
She's a lot,
Yeah. And so I say to her, I go, Delta, I just booked our trip. We're going daddy-daughter to Michigan for a week. And she goes, oh my God, can I finish my bite? She thought we were leaving right then, but she got nervous. She wasn't going to be allowed to finish her bite.
Can I finish my bite? Is my favorite thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, she had this mix of panic and excitement of like,
If you had
fuck.
said no, she would have said, I'm not going.
She's like,
She
I'm
would
good.
have,
You have
yeah,
a good time
yeah.
on your own.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
She'll break
finish
a
my
heart.
That is incredible.
Well, whoever ends up nabbing you and wedding you and procreating with you is so lucky.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Dee
and
Dee.
he's got to come ask me formally
Duh.
for your hand.
Gotta have the
Can I-
DD's
Do you think
permit.
Tony will let me walk you down the aisle?
Absolutely.
Or
Well,
could
I was
you do
hoping
two
for like a
could we do
2.
two takes?
Can we do? What if you're on one arm and Tony's on the other?
I can't imagine.
Can you?
He and I would be sobbing messes.
And then you guys can hold hands as you walk after you drop me off.
and just hold each other.
Just hold each other.
Console each other. That are,
Can I tell you something
Yeah.
about yourself?
yeah.
You have a real affinity for dads of women you like.
Really?
I'm obsessed
Tell
with
me
Monica's
more.
dad, too.
What's your dad? Is he chill?
Well, you know what it is specifically
he's
with you
just my
two.
dad.
I don't listen. I don't have that with everybody. I think you both are such exceptional women. I love talking to you both so much. And I just think your dad had to play a huge role in that. Like, I'm really proud of both of your dads for
Dee, no.
helping create the two, like, crazy firecracker, fun, smart, intelligent, provocative, strong, opinionated.
Sweaty.
And I also can't, you know what it is too? I can't help but imagining what it would be like to be either of your dads.
Ooh.
I'd be so happy.
No.
If either of my girls growed up to be like you two, I would just be a mess. I'd be so
That's really
proud
nice.
to have either of you.
Get ready because they're going to be us and like us, but also be able to be capable of like being
Martial arts.
humans. Yes, martial arts. But I'm sure they will, knowing you and driving cars.
They'll be able to ride wheelies on
like
motorcycles.
a badass.
Yeah.
I do pretty good in cars. That was always something I loved
that's
about
a
you.
funny thing we
That's
did.
a funny thing
we
did.
went to a racetrack and
I
and
still
raced
talk
cars.
about that as if it was like a lifelong career that I lived. Like I'm like, yeah, I used to race cars for a couple hours. It was fucking crazy.
How did that come about? I
That was
invited
you. You invited
right?
me, and we went and stayed at like the swankiest hotel
in Napa
remember?
Valley.
In Napa Valley, and we fucking
were-
raced Audis.
Yes.
It was the sickest shit I've ever remember. And then do you remember I was literally like putting on my blinker to change lanes and I was driving like a cool 70. I was like looking in the rear view, like checking and shit. The driver was actually like, you're going to have to go fast. This is a point for you to go faster. You have to drive fast. Like he was like really, and then I got in your car, remember? And you fucking kicked my ass.
I really took you to
You really took me to Speed Town.
I ran you up and down the flagpole a couple times.
Got out. I was stumbling.
I love you, Mae Whitman. Thank you for finally not just making me happy, but making all the armchairs happy.
I hope I was helpful, armchair people of the world, because I feel very lucky to be here. And you are the #1 armchair expert. You really used to give it to us good. All the advice used to just fucking flow. And I remember hanging out with Kristen. I really like in the beginning, it would fly out. And I remember being like, damn, like Dax is really fucking serving it up hot. And then I remember one of the first times I came over and hung out with you and Kristen just did not take it. Kristen was like, Dax, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Nobody's asking for your opinion. And I was like, woo! I was like so turned on by, I was like, am I in love with Kristen? I'm confused.
All right. Bebe, I love you.
I love you, Bebe.
Come back and see us again on a cooler day.
I will.
All right. And now begins my favorite part of the show, Fact Check with Monica Padman. Can I bring you in with a song?
Sure. Please.
Here come Pippi Longstrump, hinger home. Here come Pippi Longstrump, him pom bim pom. Our friend Jess Rowland does the most incredible. He grew up in Sweden and he knows how to sing Pippi Longstocking.
Longstocking, yes.
Longstocking, but in Swedish it's Longstrump.
Yes.
With a P at the end, a hard P.
Well, sure.
And he sings this song, and it's my favorite song I've ever heard a human sing. I want to hear it at least 3 or 4 times a week. And all of this to say, we're going to make him come in here and sing Pippi Longstrump.
Yeah, or I'll post a video of him doing it.
Yes, when he goes, you
need to see him do it.
Yeah, with his fingers and stuff.
It's really great. Dax is only doing it about 30% justice.
At best.
Yeah.
At best. It's one of the performance of the century.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hit me with some facts,
okay.
Girl.
Icky. So you have referred to this hotel, the Woodpile.
Oh, sure.
Okay, in this episode and Erica's episode.
Okay.
And keep calling it the Woodpile, okay?
That's simply not the name of it.
No, it's the Woodfin Hotel.
In casino.
No.
No, it's not a casino.
It's just the Woodfin Hotel. But guess what? It's not the Woodfin Hotel anymore.
It's not? It's gone through a name change?
Hyatt House Emeryville.
Ooh.
Hyatt House has taken over.
Good for them. They're gobbling up all the wood piles around town.
A couple people are upset about it on the interweb.
Hey, we'll speak favorably about Hyatt. Wouldn't you like some kind of card? Like if they gave us an armchair card that was like, go bananas, go to any Hyatt in the world.
Yeah.
But I'd even be willing to perform. Like if we had to talk to the concierge as experts for 5 minutes to pay for our stay. Like a labor trade.
I guess I do.
You wouldn't want to do that. No.
I guess.
Monica's very entitled. That's what people don't know.
No,
about you.
I have principles.
Oh, okay.
I would refer to it as principles.
You're very principled.
Thank you. Do you think I am?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Lots of integrity. In fact, our good friend Jess, who sings the Pippi Longstrump song, you guys often have ethical debates that I overhear. Mm. Yeah. He's a little loosey-goosey.
He doesn't have as many principles as I do.
Yeah, but that's okay. It's people like him that make this country so exciting.
He doesn't need them because he has that song.
He's got that song. When you got that song, it's like having a black Amex card.
That's right. Okay. The term rosebud is mentioned.
From Citizen Kane.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
so sorry.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's from Citizen Kane.
Can I just want to walk you through exactly what happened in my head.
Okay.
I in no way was trying to steal your thunder.
Okay.
I was thinking out loud, is she referring to Rosebud? Well, now I don't want to say that either, but from Citizen Kane, just to make sure I was on the same page with you.
Mm.
It was an attempt to connect with you.
That's okay.
Okay.
Because you had said it was from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
I can't imagine I said
you
that.
Did. You were joking, but you did.
I was joking. Okay. I was just going to say, I do know that Rosebud's not from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
It was
Factory.
never said in the episode what it is from, and it's from Citizen Kane for people who don't know, but most people do know, but I just wanted to be clear. And if you don't know, you're not stupid.
No, you're still very bright, but everyone should see that movie. It's always ranked number 1 or 2 in the AFI list and all these other lists. It's fantastic. I saw.
You think so?
Oh, I think it's brilliant. I saw a nitro print at UCLA in a film class, and it was overwhelming. I don't think it's better than Casablanca, which is usually number 2. I think Casablanca is better than Citizen Kane. I think a lot of these movies are evaluated in context, though, like how many barriers they broke.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
that's true. It's not my fave.
But the protagonist of Citizen Kane, he says Rosebud quite often in the movie, and you don't know what it is, and we're not going to tell you.
Don't know why.
But if you watch it, you'll find out.
You said your boss, your mutual boss, was Ron Howard, and that's just because he produced Parenthood. Just wanted to be clear about that. You didn't he didn't do your taxes or.
No, he didn't order us to clean our rooms
Right.
or wash his tires or anything.
Correct.
Yeah, very nice guy. He visited twice, I think, and it was lovely both times.
Yeah, he seems really nice.
Yeah, kind guy.
And cool.
Very cool.
Cute.
Like a keel dad.
I bet he's
he is
such
a dad.
cool dad.
I bet he's the keelest dad.
Keely.
Keelest of the keel. You know Ron, he's a keel dad. He's
So
got one of those
cute.
names where you never ever, he's always Ron Howard.
Yeah.
And just to even say the name Ron in reference to him feels peculiar.
I mean, his name is probably Ronald.
Yeah, my buddy Ronald Howard. You know Ron.
Ronnie.
Ron John.
Ooh. Yeah, it's weird. Who else has a name like that?
Oh, there's all kinds of them, like Mike Jackson,
Well, no.
Mike Jordan.
Their name is just Michael.
Daniel Lewis. Dan
Yeah,
Lewis. Daniel Day.
Danny.
Dan Lewis. I like to call Daniel Day-Lewis Dan Lewis.
Yeah.
You guys see that new Dan Lewis movie? I mean, he becomes these people. It's crazy.
Okay. Amy Hansen comes up on the podcast. And, in case people don't know who Amy Hansen is our dear friend and wife to our other dear, dear, dear friend, Ryan Hansen.
Film and television star Ryan Hansen.
Star of Ryan Hansen Solves Crimes on Television. Anyway, they're our buddies.
Yeah.
And they're
In fact,
wonderful.
26 minutes ago, Amy just gave me highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just came from her.
Cool.
Her warm embrace. She's very attractive, too. She's an incredible mom. She's so generous with her time. Great personality. What more could you want?
I agree. Mae said she was bullied, and you asked if they dumped pig's blood on her head. That's a reference from Carrie, the horror film Carrie.
Right. Not just a weird sexual fantasy of mine.
Right.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be clear.
Thank you.
Because it could go either way.
It could. Thanks
It's
for
a
clearing that
slippery
up.
slope
Yeah.
with you. Okay. In your middle school transformation, high school, middle school, you said your brother gave you a side spike.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 6th grade.
That's a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like a weird penis thing.
Wait, do you think anyone interpreted it as that my own brother gave me a penis
They
trick?
could have.
Yeah, basically it was like you part your hair on the side, and then at the part you cut it shorter and it's spiked.
And you also shave the sides, right?
Yeah, the sides were shaved on a number 2 setting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's specific.
Yeah.
Okay. You asked if culottes were pants or shoes. They're pants. I'm basically wearing them right now. Not really, but kind of. But the modern English use of the word culottes describes a split skirt or any garment which hangs like a skirt but is actually pants.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What?
I don't love that. I don't love it. No, if I see a skirt, I'm excited. And then when I see that it's pants, I'm less excited.
Really?
Yeah, I am. And I guess that's just my
'cause-
perviness.
Yeah, you're so pervy.
I am. I'm sorry. I'm attracted to women and men, the shape. I mean, I'm not attracted to men.
Yes, you are.
All the way, but I'm very attracted to their shape. When I see a skirt, I think, hey, maybe the wind will blow. Who knows? Could be like seeing a Ferrari drive by in the middle of nowhere.
This is why we have to have them. Because people like you wandering around with your eyes just wide open, waiting for the wind to blow.
Like a big cat on the savannah. I'm always looking for impala.
Okay, but during the Victorian era, long split skirts were developed for horseback riding so that women could sit astride a horse with the men's saddle rather than riding side saddle.
Like a dipshit.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know, the women still ride side saddle in Bangkok on those motor scooters, the mopeds.
Are they wearing, is it because they don't have culottes there yet?
I guess the culottes haven't made it that far east, but they do ride side saddle, and the men are just riding the shit out of those things. They're up on sidewalks. They're in the curbs.
It's fun.
It's one of the more exciting things you can witness.
Yeah.
Very kill. What's interesting is, well, that's a great barometer. I'm glad this just came up. I guess it prioritizes my love for motorsports is actually higher for my love of seeing a skirt blown up, because when I've witnessed that, my priority is seeing if they're going to crash jumping off a curb, and I'm not even thinking about the possibility of the skirt being blown up.
Okay, so you're saying you're a little less pervy than we thought a few minutes ago.
Well, maybe equally as pervy, but even more obsessed with motorsports. I think maybe this was more telling of my motorsports obsession than it was
your lack of perversion.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's still very high.
Okay. Okay, so you use the term clam digger.
Mm-hmm.
And according to Urban Dictionary, which is not the most reliable source.
It's going to be sexual.
It's not,
sure.
actually.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not. Baggy pants and... Is that right?
I think of clam diggers as floods, and you call them clam diggers because when you go dig for clams, you roll up your pants up to your shin, and then you wade out into the water, and you don't get your pants wet.
But it's the pants.
Yeah, the pant is you call them clam diggers because they're high up.
Oh, right, but they're baggy, but they end at the calf.
Oh yeah, you're wearing clam diggers right now. As much as you want to call them
I'm wearing clam diggers.
Can I just let people in on the Pavlovian response I get?
To clam digging? Oh, to that.
That's a Thrive throat lozenge coming out of the package.
Yeah.
Nicotine.
Okay, baggy pants ending at the calf that give a feeling of the Caribbean islands. I am wearing them right now.
You look very Caribbean to me right now.
You say Caribbean, huh?
When I say you're looking Caribbean, because I would never say you're looking Caribbean. That doesn't sound right at all. You would? I'd say we took a vacation down to the Caribbean, but I would not say that you look Caribbean.
Oh, I am the opposite.
You are?
Yeah. I would say we went to the Caribbean.
Well, I'm going to answer this riddle.
Caribbean islands. Caribbean is the adjective.
Let's reference William Ocean, a.k.a. Billy Ocean, when he said, Caribbean Queen, now we're having the same dream.
Oh, I do like that song.
No more love on the run. So he says Caribbean Queen.
Yeah, as the adjective.
Yeah, so I guess.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
And Caribbean is the place.
Caribbean Queen, now you're wearing denim jeans. Caribbean Queen.
So, but you understand you're going back and forth on what you're saying.
I know. I definitely negated myself when I brought the pro William Ocean into
But you got to sing, so you're happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, but also, it's a game in which the object is to find parking.
Clam digging?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't know the rules of the game.
And that's a New York thing or something, right? Unique for New York thing?
Unique New York?
Unique New York.
Unique New York. I'm really good at those.
You're such a braggart.
I was trying to stop myself.
I think that's the third time you said you were really good at something.
What else?
Your ethics are on point. Your integrity. What was the other? There was a third one.
That was all. It's true. You can own the good things about yourself.
I think you should. You're a confident woman. It's part of your attractiveness and your Caribbeanness.
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean Queen. That song would suck if it was Caribbean Queen.
No, it is Caribbean.
No, it's Caribbean Queen.
Wait.
Because it goes, Caribbean Queen.
That sounds crazy.
Because I'm a bad singer.
No.
But imagine William Ocean singing it. But then I'll imagine him going, Caribbean Queen.
That's how I think it is.
No, it's Caribbean
Are you
Queen.
Sure?
Yes, I'll fact check your facts. Fact check.
Caribbean Queen.
Yeah, Caribbean Queen. Now we're both wearing denim jeans. That's not it. But what if that was it? We're having the same dream. And think of dream and queen, not an exact rhyme. Not an exact rhyme. N and M.
And still a successful song.
In spite of that, incredibly successful.
Okay. The quote, floor to ceiling wardrobe that Muslim women wear.
Uh-huh.
Okay. They wear there's 3 different
Garments.
Thank you. Yes. Hijab.
Is that the head? That's the headpiece, right?
Yeah. It's often referred to as, like the head scarf.
Okay.
The niqab. Niqab or niqab.
Okay.
I'll
Either niqab or niqab.
Is a veil.
If you're going to compliment someone's niqab or niqab, maybe just figure out what the word is before you compliment
Please.
them. Okay. That's all I'm going to suggest.
Correctly.
Yeah.
I should have done that. I'm sorry.
No. How are you going to figure that out?
I can do it.
Go
on
interview
YouTube.
someone in
No, YouTube. How do you pronounce?
Oh.
I do that all the time.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Should I
What
do
an
it right
interesting
now,
life
actually?
you have
Let me just
when you leave my site, and I'm curious what you're doing. I now know that you're learning how to pronounce things on YouTube.
Yeah, I am.
I feel less bad about how much you work now. I think I might be rescuing you from.
This is valuable.
Oh, you're going to do it? Do it. We're probably going to get it.
Niqab.
Oh, niqab.
There. Now we know.
Does that? Well,
That was a real time fact check, y'all.
boom.
The niqab. Did I say it right?
I think you pronounce it Nicola.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's Ricola.
Okay, it's a veil for the face that leaves the area around the eyes clear.
Okay.
Okay, and the burqa is the most concealing. It's a one-piece veil that covers the face and body and often just leaves a mesh screen to see through. And they have that, well, on Sex and the City, they have the thing that you were talking about when you said they wear like Chanel and stuff under their clothes.
Yes.
Sex and the City 2, the
Sexual
movie.
City.
Yeah. The movie, they go, and that's a plot point, I would say, a small plot point.
But pertinent, but
small but mighty plot point. And
you
I
love
gotta tell you
that
something
plot
about
point.
Sex and the City
Yeah,
too.
please do.
Carrie's apartment in that, I dreamt about having an apartment that looked like that.
Oh, really? That was the.
Oh my God.
That's
and
that's what's on your vision board.
Yeah. And early on, I actually literally think that picture was on an actual vision board of mine.
Oh, that's great. And when you imagine that you're living there, are you having a ton of sex and drinking cosmopolitans?
And I'm in the city.
Yeah. Are you doing all those things? Is that part of the fantasy, or it's just the physical space?
It's the decor.
Because let me tell you, when I fantasize about being in Dukes of Hazzard, I don't just want the General Lee. I want to jump the fucking General Lee over a collapsed bridge. I want to do the activities that the Duke boys are doing. I want to run from the law. I want to flatten the hills and straighten the curves.
I see. No, I don't, because I was,
11.
well, first things first, I drink a lot of cocktails with my friends. So I do that, and I live in a city.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of those things checked off. And also, I was more of an Aiden girl. I wasn't all that into Big.
You didn't care for Big.
Nah.
Okay.
Okay, we were a little unclear on when Mae's full nudity happened. It happened in 2016, February. That's when the play opened. And she also was like London or New York, and it opened in New York at Lincoln Center originally.
Great time to be nude on stage. February 2016. It was in LA.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah. Great weather, very temperate.
Yeah. Not too hot.
You wouldn't want to be in Anchorage doing that play.
Too cold.
All the drafts.
Right. Well, for women, it's not as big of a deal.
Well, your nipples would be erect, which I think
That's
might
true.
be visually stimulating for the audience.
Yeah, because you want the back row to be able to see them anyway.
That's right.
So you talked about nudity in hair because you said Kristen did it. And I was like, why are they getting nude in Hair, the musical? and so I found out. The scene takes place at the end of the first act during the song Where Do I Go? And one of the main characters is contemplating what he should do about being drafted in the Vietnam War. And it's a song not just about choosing one's path in life, but also about the horrors of war and the decision of whether or not it's worth dying for your country. Heavy stuff, okay? Then the cast joins in on the song, and it's during the last part, and they all come out naked. I guess it's like exposing.
Yeah, I don't know how it really relates to what you
still
just...
don't know.
Yeah, it's still unclear.
Yeah.
I think it was just some director who was like, what would spice up that somber exploration of mortality and war is let's get everyone's dicks, titties, buns, get them all out and just parade them up and down.
Oh, did you write this play?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. The Taylor Swift song you guys were singing is called Wildest Dreams. You love it.
He's so tall and handsome as
There it
hell.
is.
So bad, but he does it so well.
And the Taylor Swift album that Jack Antonoff produced a lot of songs on is her newest one called Reputation. And he also co-wrote her duet called I Don't Want to Live Forever. And they're friends.
No love connection, documented love connection?
Not that I know of.
I have to imagine if I was working in close proximity to Jack on the piano, singing, sharing, connecting spiritually, poetically, that it would lead to physical contact. And that, especially if we got that song just perfect and we listened to playback, then I feel like it'd be game on.
Yeah.
And then every time they hear that song on the radio, they would remember celebrating its perfection horizontally.
Coitus and coitus.
Coitus interruptus.
Okay, that's all.
Well, I love you.
I love
Do you want me to take you out with a song?
Yes, please.
Caribbean Queen just bought the same jeans
Sounds so
as my grandma Stephanie.
I am shocked that it's Caribbean Queen.
Oh, where's my phone? Did it fall again? Here, which it always does. I wonder what the legality of this is.
Probably can't do it. But we could not ask permission.
Yeah,
What is that? What is that?
Beg forgiveness.
Yeah, I don't know it because it's sort of an unethical thing to do. What did you say, jeans?
William Ocean.
Ooh, this is a cool video.
Yeah, I can see it in my mind. At the blink of an eye, I knew her number randomly. Ooh. They put in tiger noises.
Wait.
Oh, Jesus. Hold on a second. Did he not say Caribbean Queen?
It didn't sound like anything to me. Hold on.
No more love. Fucking great bass line. Ding-a-ding-a-ding. There's so much Foley in this song. There's tigers, there's screeching metal. Ooh, laser beam sounds.
Perfume. That was a perfume bottle.
Oh.
Okay.
Here it is. Put it real close to the mic. He barely says the chorus in this.
Yeah, wow.
It does not sound like Caribbean either.
It doesn't.
Caribbean Queen.
It only, the end doesn't, he like drops off.
Yeah, it's the Ian.
Wow.
He was so sick of Love on the Run that he had to write that song. He's like, no more Love on the Run. I'm done.
Caribbean. It's like he's saying Caribbean.
Like,
he's not saying Caribbean.
Like a carabiner. Caribou? Caribou Queen. Oh my God, it was Caribou Queen, and we were wrong the whole time. Caribou Queen makes her home in Eugene, where she hunts and feeds her clan. No more love on this land. All right.
That's all.